This is Papa Smurf. You're listening to Our Lifestyle, the podcast, with ODB and the mayor.
Yo, 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 it's ODB, Our Lifestyle podcast, and we want to remind you that Bayou Showdown is going down later this year in Slidell, Louisiana, at the Harbor Center. That's 100 Harbor Center Boulevard, again in Slidell, Louisiana. Bayou Showdown is November 20th and 21st. It's the weekend before Thanksgiving, so get on out and support the scene, including Custom Car Show Productions in conjunction with Mr. Sean Randall. Bayou Showdown, November 20th and 21st, Slidell, Louisiana. Check that hashtag, Bayou Showdown, or Facebook, Bayou Showdown, for more information. Yo, 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 it's Our Lifestyle podcast, also known as OLP, Down with OLP, yeah, you know me, episode 249.
Smut Fest.
Wait, who is this? I haven't talked to you in a couple weeks. Who was that? Did someone dial in the conference?
Yo, it's biggity, it's Smut Man! Smut Man!
Dude, the Smut Bandit. I heard you got taken down like a freaking, like a bull on a ranch. Dude, Dizzy caught you Dizzy's the new Dog the Bounty Hunter, I heard.
Well, don't let Dizzy take all the credit, because big-ass Robbie was right there, and I was like, all right, I'm done. No more running. I'm done running. Robbie, I looked over, seen Robbie right there. I wasn't afraid of damn Dizzy, but yes, Dizzy is definitely the new bounty hunter, and as you see in the picture, it was a peaceful takeover. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, down for Dennis. And here's the cool thing, Mike. We're going to link up. I did some audio this week with Frank that was at Down for Dennis, Frank Icenhour. I think I'm saying that right. And, Frank, no stranger to the podcast. So he spent a few minutes. We talked about all kinds of cool stuff. He was boots on the ground, which is awesome. Now, on this episode, it looks like everything's going to align. This has been in the works. We got Joey and Heather, old school mini truckers, old school kinfolk. That's going to be there's so much to talk about. It'll make a lot of sense as we start getting into the story and what happened many years ago this month. Some of you guys will remember, some won't, but I think it's going to be pretty cool. So, Mike, that's what we got going down. But have you heard from Buddy or Ryan at Graphics Mafia lately?
Hey, Buddy. Hell yeah, I have, man. I was just talking to Buddy. Buddy knocked out some more Eastbound Get Down show stickers for us. And, guys, if you need stickers, Buddy is the man to call. Because not only did he knock out our stickers, but I hear he's got some new specialty stickers coming real soon.
Yeah, hit up Graphics Mafia. That's graphics with an X that replaces the C. GraphicsMafia.com. They're on TikTok. They're on Insta, of course. They're also on Facebook. You can message them, but you got to send them the secret word to get the discount. It starts with an S. It ends with a T, Mike. Is that going to be, I know you're the bandit, but can we use that as like the secret, maybe hookup word? For them, for their discount.
Well, yeah. The code word is Smut Fest.
Okay. So you send that, and then, you get, maybe the processing fees. They got all kinds of, they're like a dealership, They've got the delivery fee, the destination fee. You know about these fees, Mike, because, you're running a business too. You got all kinds of different stuff.
Absolutely.
The drive your client's car fee, your battery's dead fee, all that stuff kind of adds up, and that's how you make your money.
Damn Skippy, I do, because I tell you what, just had damn Jaguar battery dead today, and so I can only imagine how much that's going to cost.
Yeah, crazy, man. So we're going to do this quick intro because, again, we've got some audio with Frank. Frank's a great dude. We've linked up with him a couple times in the past, and, man, he's got a lot to share. Just cool shit. He's into, whether it's wrestling or toys or, going to a show. He's going to be at Slamfest 30 And I'll remind everyone now, you go to minimadness.com, and of course you can pre-register. That $20 that you'll save approximately will afford you a show shirt, a beer, some food, lunch, whatever. You got to hit up minimadness.com to pre-register. But Mike, before we kind of end our audio, I did want to talk just a minute about the scene update. So you were boots on the ground. Now, you gallivanted on up, you and Big John Lopez, you guys, on flights and delayed this and delayed that. But what I heard is you did have a good time gallivanting all throughout Princeton, West Virginia over there at Down for Dennis.
Dude, I tell you what, Sean Ryder, one of the homies from Aftermath, picked us up from the airport. And so, he's got that bagged Dodge, of course, built by Jimmy's Rod and Customs. And I tell you what, that 2-hour ride through the mountains, that truck was incredible. Awesome. Great ride. Jimmy builds them like no other. And, of course, we hooked up with our boy Josh Ellis and that OBS, which I posted up some cruising videos of him. And, of course, the Freak Master Shannon met up with us as well. He's got that Cadillac. So we posted up some of those videos of the cruising over there to the show. And, yeah, we got there to the show, and, man, the weather was absolutely gorgeous. It was a little overcast, so we didn't have to worry about it being so damn hot. So that was nice. And, man, I tell you what, Daryl Poe and the rest of the Extreme Lows guys and gals, they did one hell of a job. And one of the highlights was meeting Miss Abby. And Abby, of course, they call it Down for Dennis. So the guy that had one of the members, good friend of Daryl Poe's, Dennis, had passed away, and his mom Abby still comes and helps and supports the show, in memory of her son Dennis. And Josh actually took me over there to meet her. And man, I tell you what, that lady is absolutely wonderful lady. Had such great stories and all the memories of her son. She's keeping his memory alive. And so it was definitely a pleasure meeting Miss Abby.
Oh yeah.
And look forward to going back to that show and seeing Miss Abby again. What a great time. I tell you what, the RA guys and girls, I met the Stacys and that white, old school square body Ranger of his with the orange flames on it. Man, that beautiful, beautiful truck. And it was good to finally meet those guys, guys and girls as well. And, of course, Eddie Gordy with that clean-ass Mazda of his. And, of course, the coolest little girl in the scene. She's only 11 years old. You'd never know it. And, she was there with her dad, of course. And, just the rest of the RA guys and girls. There was a bunch of them there. And, dude, they put on a great show, had a great time. And it was definitely for a good cause. And, of course, we can't forget Ed Testerman, the poor exterminator. The poor guy, he brought another new truck and then bought another truck. So this poor guy. So make sure if you guys got bugs, or you think you got bugs, or Ed will tell you that you got bugs. You might not even have bugs, but definitely support the poor exterminator if you're up in that West Virginia area, so he can continue buying, more vehicles to add to his stable of vehicles.
Dude, he's talking about add to my collection, the selection. It symbolizes DOPE. I think he's been listening to The Chronic too much, but I asked him if I could borrow his new OBS, and he said, this is why Testerman's cool, man. He just goes, sure, no problem, man. You know what I mean? He just hooks it up. I mean, Mike, you would never let me, borrow your truck or something like that. That's why Ed's down for OLP. Down with OLP.
Well, I wouldn't let you borrow it because I'd get it back with probably like a fucking chrome frame, gold wing doors. There's no telling what would be done to it if I was to let you borrow it.
Well, it would also have no fuel in it either, because when I give them back, like if you ever get at the dealer or if you rent a car and you prepay the fuel, they kind of get you because a lot of people bring it back and they got like 3/4 of a tank, but you've had to buy the whole tank. What we'll do is we'll siphon it out, we'll transfer it to someone else's vehicle. I mean, we'll do whatever we got to do, you know what I mean, just to get our money's worth,
Oh, absolutely, because I tell you what, the price of these rental cars nowadays, you got to do everything you can to get your fucking money's worth.
Yeah, exactly. We had over a G-note when we went up to Sandusky just for those few days we were up gallivanting. But, we were in Pittsburgh, and then we went up there. So, I mean, we got, I don't know if I'd say we got our money's worth. I mean, we got raked over the coals, but, that's the way it goes.
Hey, you had a good time. That's all that matters.
Real deal. Now, we're covering the scene updates. We want to let everyone know, if you're a new listener, make sure you follow or subscribe to this podcast however you're listening. Many of you are on your iPhone device listening via the purple pre-installed podcast app. If you can, tap on library, select this podcast OLP since you've subscribed and followed, and scroll down, all the way down, and tap on the 5-star review. If you want to go a step further, you can write a review. You can type in there, great podcast, whatever you want to say. We'll give you a shout out on a future episode. Mike, I'm so excited. In a few minutes here, roll into the audio with Heather and Joey. Joey's been in a couple different clubs. They've been together a long time. They used to come to Slam Fest early 2000s. I mean, they're no stranger to showing and going to different states all over, SEMA vehicles, you name it, all kinds of cool stuff. I'm excited about that, but I wanted to mention, Mike, I've seen that Street Trucks are continuing to ramp up their social media, including their website. And I tell you what, man, they even added Mike Barsha. They added his truck to their website, streettrucksmag.com. The cool thing is, Mike, they're literally updating features, old, new, in between, every freaking day. They even had Relaxin' in the Park 2021 coverage. It just popped up this week, man. You heard that here from OLP, probably first.
Hey, I wouldn't doubt it. You keep talking about Slamfest. Bro, that's not till October. Dude, this weekend, we got the Spark Show, Sevierville, Tennessee. Our boy Dizzy and Adam Tripp getting ready to throw it down. And, man, I'm telling you, if you're not there, you're missing out. So make sure you guys are going to Sevierville, Tennessee this weekend. Support our boy Adam Tripp, Dizzy Don Davis, the Spark Show. Make sure you guys are there. It's going to be a damn good time.
Tap on the hashtag The Spark Show via social media to see some of those posts. Of course, Frank will be out there as well. He mentioned, in his audio in a few minutes, he'll mention that he's going to be up there. A lot of guys kind of call it Pigeon Forge. When we had Adam on recently, he kind of reinforced it's right by there. So it's kind of like on the backside. But the Spark Show, one of our favorite shows. Now, from a print scene update, I haven't received the new Street Trucks. It's funny, 99% of the time I get them a week too early, 1 or 2 weeks early. This time, because it had Tim from NC Florida, it has his truck in it. Of course, I haven't even gotten mine, and some people are already buying it on the newsstand. So that's just the way the Postal Service goes, and I don't have it yet. So I'm looking forward to, Mike, hopefully the next episode kind of doing a deep dive into that issue. Again, if you go to streettrucksmag.com, you can scroll to the bottom, and they even have a $1,500 gift certificate that you can win. Right on their website, you can fill out your information, just your name, email, and zip code, which I thought was kind of cool. But if you scroll to the bottom, you can tap on subscribe, and you can subscribe to this awesome magazine. It's available in digital or print, and you can save up to 80% off. So I know whether you're the digital guy or the print guy, they've got you covered. Now, Mike, just a few more things, man. I've seen a couple things on Facebook I saved, but I know we haven't been able to link up a whole ton the last couple weeks. But anything else you've seen from a scene standpoint that you wanted to mention?
Absolutely. The next issue of All Time Low magazine is going to be coming out here, Jay, really soon. So make sure you guys stay on the lookout, because Beth Waterman and Rich Waterman, they're working really hard to get that. I do believe the next issue is it issue 29? I'm pretty sure, Jay.
Yeah, if you go to atlmagazine.com and you tap on magazines, you will see that issue 28 is the only one available right now. So you're right. Next is 29.
Absolutely, because I can't wait to get that next issue, because I'm telling you guys, I just talked to Rich the other day. Eastbound Get Down show is going to have a full page ad in there. Guys, go out, support the scene, support the magazines, support the guys that are out there trying to make this scene and doing this scene, and support. That's go to the shows, now talk about magazines, talk about shows. The new thing The new thing I say, Jay, because they call us, I don't know why they call us this, but they call us the OGs of the Mini Truckin' podcast. We got the new one out, the Custom Scene podcast with our boy Glenn Brown. And guys, I just listened to, I believe it was episode, I think it was 5, if I'm not mistaken. But he had Dizzy on there. He had Jonathan Hawkins on there, and him and his wife. And, man, them two are an absolute riot. So if you haven't listened to it yet, make sure you guys check out the Custom Scene podcast. Glenn Brown, and I call her the boss lady. They put it down, and they always got good guests, and really enjoy that podcast. So make sure you guys are checking that out as well.
You know it. The few items I'll cover, I know the homie had posted up, Sean Ryder. He said that they had a great time. I know you were kind of rolling with them. He got a chance to tag a few people, including Shannon, Freak Check Shannon. So I know a lot of cool stuff was going down there. But Mike, dude, Graphic Disorder, we talk about the heat that Eric, Brant, the whole team, it's really under Brant and Shelly's, umbrella right there at Graphic Disorder. Dude, the new Southeast Mini Nats, also known as Mini Truckin' Nats, bro. I mean, come on, leave a little bit of heat for us, dude. He's dropping his new gear with Mini Trucker Union. Jason Bell is, of course, he's got the Full Size Society. But, dude, bro, I mean, can he just leave a little bit of heat for OLP?
Bro, you know what? I think there's enough heat to go around. And you brought up Mini Truckin' Union and Full Size Society. Congratulations to your boy. He's fellow Severed Ties, Mr. Chris. Can't even remember his last name, but Chris, that new Full Size, that damn thing is on fire, bro. The blue Full Size OBS with the white flames, that bitch is fire, and that new shirt is hot. So love it, man, love it.
Yeah, I can't wait to get my hands on those. They've got a lot of cool stuff, and love to continue to see what those guys do. But those were a couple things I've seen. We're looking forward to some stuff this month that we're gonna maybe have to kind of see how all that goes. So that's cool. And then I've got Sean Rose, great dude. His truck obviously is the golden ticket on one of those shirts. And, he says 6 years ago on Facebook, my world changed, or this world changed rather. You and your father changed my life. You showed me what it meant to our lives, to never back down for anything. That, if you wanted something, that you go after it. You never made excuses and never asked why. And he says, love Ethan and Sean. So, giving it up to his awesome, wife, and, she's no longer with us. And much love to Sean Rose and the stuff that he's doing. It's truly amazing. And Mike, we can't talk about it enough that, him and like a David McGotti, we had him on with Mrs. Maggie Hallowell. I mean, so much good in the scene. I mean, that's what I want. Those are the kind of guys I want to be around. You know what I mean? Doing good things for the scene and just keeping the pedal stomped.
Oh, absolutely, brother. And bringing up our boy Sean Rose, make sure another reason to go to the Spark Show this weekend and go see Sean Rose. If you are interested in bead rolling, he will be there bead rolling. He will show you. He will let you do it. So go experience it. Try it out. And, hats off to Sean Rose. After the Spark Show, I believe it's Monday, he actually is going to one of the local high schools. And he's going to be going there and showing those kids how to bead roll. So, hats off to Sean and all the things that he's doing. And, definitely check it out. And if you need a bead roll panel, go check out Rose Metalworks and let them know what you need. And that man can make it for you. So, definitely hats off to Sean. Now, of course, David, because them two are spreading the love, and they got that Spreading the Love Foundation, and they're doing big things. Yeah,
that they are. Now, we're getting ready to roll in to the key show updates. I do want to remind everyone, you hear it at the top, we hope to see you out at Bayou Showdown. It's the weekend before Thanksgiving this November. Slidell, Louisiana. They've continued to grow by humongous leaps and bounds year over year. We hope that you come out. I know, Mike, you've been there, but Bayou Showdown, 2 words, on Facebook for more. Big ups to Sean Randall, the Custom Car Show production fam that puts that one on. Mike, as far as that goes, man, we're going to roll into some key show updates right now. We want to thank Garage Gear Clothing for continuing to sponsor us and be on board. And we would remind people it's free shipping, Mike. I mean, free $99 in the U.S. only. And I always forget. I mean, is it the continental U.S.? I mean, are they? I think they're shipping free to Hawaii and Alaska, I think.
Hey, as long as they're one of those states that's in the United States, they're shipping there for free.
Yeah, it's good stuff, man. So garagegearclothing.com, you'll see it says free shipping on all U.S. of A. Oh, it is. You just got to order now. Very nice. You get the package, and, everything is good, right, Mike?
Everything is good. As long as everything is legal.
Absolutely. So, Mike, for the key show updates, we're going to roll into the audio with the big homie, Frank. It was a lot of fun. I'll come back, and I'll zip it up, and then, boom, we're going to be into the audio with Joey and Heather. Really been working on this one for a long time, Mike. I'm super excited about it. There's the Krew Kut connection. There's so many other vehicles. Long time, kinfolk in the scene. They've done so much. And, thankful for Joey and Heather taking the time. They're very busy in their professional lives. But, Mike, at OLP, it's about those relationships we built over the last 25 plus. And, again, I can't thank them enough for taking the time. You know what I'm saying? So I'm excited for everyone to hear this.
Oh, absolutely. Look forward to it every Friday, man. Not only do I help you with this, but I'm also a listener.
Yeah, it kind of ties in. I always mess up when I always want to – remember the old Hair Club for Men? He's like, I'm not only a client, but I'm also the president. And I always want to kind of say that because Biggie had that little rap that kind of spun off of that. But every time I try to get my flow down, I just don't have it. You know what I mean? I'm trying to get to your level because I heard that you and Big John I heard that Death Row is going to – pay for the studio time, and you and him are kind of going back in to re-record a remix of two of America's Most Wanted. So you're going to be Pac, and he's going to be, I guess, Snoop. So I don't know, man.
Oh, I just figured he was going to be Biggie.
Nah, he's not going to be Biggie Smalls. I got to thank Dizzy though. Thanks for doing. I know he didn't have any hand in it, I don't think, but he, the Smut Bandit. I know that Wink. Down there, they ran some stuff, Mike, and it was really eerie because the guy looked just like you. And at first, I did a double take, and I was like, Mike would maybe, I don't know, borrow magazines from people's mail, like while you're delivering it. I don't know. It was just a weird connection. You know what I'm saying? That's all I'm saying.
Hey, I will never confess to any of that.
All right, Mike. Well, again, thanks to Garage Gear Clothing, garagegearclothing.com. To order. It's free shipping. Get your holiday gifts now. Well, Mike, with that being said, dude, I think we're good for this week, man.
Absolutely, brother. Hey, we just can't forget our boy Joey over at Get Decked, and make sure you guys check out Attitude Check 9. It's coming later this month. So stay tuned, and hey, make sure y'all check this out. Yep. And these interviews, y'all are gonna like them. So with that being said, Airhead Nation,
we got you. On to the next one. Peace. Yo, as I mentioned, we're going to bring in some audio here from the homie, Frank. What's going down, man?
Nothing much, just hanging out the house, burning up. It's a little hot out here in Tennessee today, but I'm doing good. Oh,
good stuff, man. And you pronounce your name. We've had you on before, of course, but it's Frank Icenhour or Icenhour?
Icenhour is correct.
Got it. Now, do you, I always meant to ask you this. Do you have like a nickname? Like I just watched, if anybody hasn't checked it out, it may not be for everyone, but I watched that Amazon Prime. It was called Val, right? It's about Val Kilmer. And we all know, if you listen to this podcast, you probably know about Top Gun, right? And many of us 80s fans, we know he was Iceman. Like, do you have a nickname? Or, can we nickname you Iceman? Or is that just too cliche?
They used to call me that when I played basketball in high school a little bit, but I hadn't been calling in a while. But I'm not against it. It's not bad.
Yeah. That whole, I guess you call it a documentary. Like I was intrigued by it because I don't know. People just got to watch it. It's hard at times because he was like the stud. You look at him in some of the movies, like at Top Gun. He was the man, and then you see he's kind of had this fall from grace because of his health, of course, but. yeah, crazy for anyone that hasn't checked it out. Just a free plug out there. It's pretty intriguing, but again, a little dry at times how the story was put together. But it had some cool behind the scene footage and stuff too.
Nice. I'll have to check it out myself. I hadn't seen it yet, but it sounds pretty cool.
Yeah, for sure. Well, Frank, we wanted to kind of just shoot the shit, man. We always like having you on. I know one time we sat down at East Tennessee Showdown. Great show. But this past weekend, you were out at Down for Dennis. We had Daryl on recently. And, man, what was the vibe like, man? Did you have a good time?
Oh, yeah. Down for Dennis is always great. It's such a laid back show, and they just have a lot of just really nice trucks show up there that I just don't see anywhere else. It doesn't seem like they're from up in Kentucky and Virginia, and it seems like they just don't make it to many other shows. So you see a lot of cool stuff you can't see anywhere else. And of course he's got the motorcycle stunt show there, which is always cool to watch. And he has the raffle there is just killer. I know they gave away one of the big ghetto blaster boom boxes. I think that thing's like $300 or $400, and they were just giving it away. And it's just always just such a great time. Daryl does such a wonderful job. It's always a great show.
Yeah, you can check that hashtag #4Dennis. Look at some of those photos from the events over the years. Obviously, it's a charity event, as Daryl had talked about. Now, do you, to kind of deviate from the show just for a minute, like when you go into these different towns, like one of my buddies, man, I call him like a fiend, right? I mean, I collect certain things, but, he is like always looking for stuff, right? When you float into a town like Princeton, West Virginia, are you on Facebook Marketplace, Craigslist, not looking for any shady stuff, but do you ever hit maybe some of the antique places looking for the stuff you love, man?
Oh yeah, for sure. I changed my Facebook Marketplace city to somewhere close by on any of these farther out shows. And I mean, I'm always looking for wheels, always looking for billet wheels, and not like not 24s or new race lines or anything, but you can find a lot of 15, 16-inch center line, old school billet wheels. I just picked up a set. The set that's on my Isuzu Space Cab is actually a set of they're a set of Boyd Coddingtons, and they're a 5-spoke, but they're a 6-lug, and they were made in '91, but they look just brand new. And I ended up getting them off Facebook Marketplace in Nashville for $250, and they were just a steal. And they match the truck, and just they fit perfect, with that old school vibe. So you always got to be looking. And of course, I collect vintage toys and action figures, and every time I go to Down for Dennis, on my way back out, I go through Tazewell, Virginia, and there's a toy store out there, a vintage toy store, and it's almost a museum. He has everything. I can't think of the name, but it's obviously the only vintage toy store in Tazewell, Virginia. Mm-hmm. But it's worth a drive out there because it's almost a museum of everything 80s and 90s, and the guy that runs it, he's super cool. So I stopped by there on my way home and picked up a few things because but it's always a good time.
Yeah, I tell people follow, the stuff you like. I mean, go do it. I mean, there's a lot of stuff. I mean, I grew up with the G.I. Joe stuff and just loved it. And of course, they've slowly started putting some of that back out. I got kind of into it when it was I'm trying to remember what anniversary it was. It was about 10 years ago, and they had started re-releasing everything, and I kind of had gotten it. My son wasn't really into it, and I kind of let the stuff go all in the package, and I kind of felt like, damn, man, I could have kept it. But, to me, even watching some of the collections or just going and looking at it, it's a lot of fun. It brings me back. Now, we're talking to Frank, and Frank is on Instagram. It's Frank_Ice. You can see the photos of his truck, the Isuzu, as I call it, the Space Cab. Talk to us a little bit about it because, you sold another truck. You ended up with this, and I'm like, dude, this guy has always got, you're almost like a recruiter for a sports team, man. You've always got another one coming up, you know what I mean, underneath the wing.
Yeah, for sure. Of course, I guess a lot of people know I had a Roadster Mazda. It was featured in Mini Truckin. It was old dog new tricks about in, I think 2001. Well, sorry, it was in Truckin. It was shot for Mini Truckin, and then it ended up running in Truckin. Mm-hmm. But I sold it off because I really liked the truck. I'd had it a long time, but just it was a show truck. It was just a full-blown show truck. It didn't have side windows. It didn't have windshield wipers. It didn't have a roof. Didn't have seat belts. Didn't have a stereo. It looked nice sitting there, but it was not the most convenient thing to drive to shows. And I don't know. I guess I'm getting old, and I don't really like to bring stuff on a trailer or anything. I just like to cruise it there and drive around and drive it home. So my first truck I had in high school was actually an Isuzu Space Cab, and I've had 2 or 3 since then. none of them were all that nice, but I was actually on my way to the beach with some friends, and I got on Facebook Marketplace, and I changed my location to the middle of South Carolina, and an ad came up for it was a 88 Isuzu Space Cab. It was brown. It had the big old man camper on the back, and you could tell by the ad that like the guy, he said to make sure and call, not text. So you could tell it was probably an older gentleman. And I ended up calling him, and he had it on there for the extraordinary price of $1,500. I called him and talked to him, and apparently he was the second owner. Truck had 140,000 miles on it, and it was for any Isuzu people, it was an LS, which just means it's loaded. It had every option. It's got the chrome bumpers, chrome rocker trim, the factory tweed interior. It was an automatic, and it had a sunroof. Even the back glass on it is actually factory tinted bronze. It's all sorts of things that you just don't find on a base model. I've never even seen, I guess, but a handful of LS space cabs in my whole life, and I don't think I've ever seen one as nice as this one. It had 140,000 miles on it. I'm the third owner. It had two owners before me. Was well took care of. It still has the factory paint. I mean, I haven't painted it or anything, but he had it on there for $1,500, and I went by and looked at it on my way back from the beach, and he while we were driving, he said he'd prayed about it, and the Lord told him he could sell it to me for $1,200.
Wow!
So I told him I'd gladly take the truck for that.
Yeah, you would bless that with an amen.
Yes, exactly. So, which it hadn't been driven a lot lately, and it had a few little things wrong. I had to do a little bit of work on the engine. I had a little bit of trouble at Mini Truck Nationals with it, but we've got it all ironed out now. But I ended up bringing it home, and I put a carpet kit in it. I put a new stereo in it, but a new in quotes, because it's actually I got a period correct Alpine tape player, and then hooked up a Bluetooth adapter to the CD changer input in the back. So I Bluetooth to a vintage Alpine tape player. And then I got another vintage Lacar steering wheel with a Boyd Condon horn button, and then the Boyd Condon wheels that ended up with off Craigslist. They're on it, and then I bagged it, and everything for the bag setup is all under the bed, so you can't see any of it. The switches are actually hidden in the center console. They all look factory. Like whenever you first walk up on it, you think it might just be hammered in it, but it is bagged, and it lays in the front. But it's just built to look like it just drove. Yeah, it drove straight. It looks like it drove straight out of 1990. It looks. It's just tried to do it period correct. Like at shows, I've got the vintage, the bag phone I've got in there, and I throw some Billy Ray Cyrus tapes on the dash. It's
yeah, it's very cool.
It's a whole thing.
Yeah, it's the whole package. Now, the topper that you had on it, did you let that go, or did you just stash it somewhere?
No, I still got it. I just took it off to switch it up a little bit. I may put it back on. Because it's painted to match and everything, but it had a little bit of a crack in it, so I took it off for now. But it may go back on at some point, depending on what wheels and what the truck has on it. But because I like it both ways, I think it looks good with it and without it. It just was to switch it up a little bit.
Oh yeah, and that's the beauty of topper, camper, whatever you want to call it, that you can do that. And the truck, like you said, you can find stuff if you're looking, obviously giving away some of the secrets, but this truck, space cab, bagged, nice set of wheels that you don't have a huge investment in, which I think is awesome. Now you still have the Cadillac, right? That's one that I don't think you'll ever get rid of.
No, probably not. I've still got the 65 Coupe de Ville. I'm working on painting it. It's kind of took a back burner. It had a little bit of rust, and I fixed all the rust on it, and it's kind of roughed in, but I just need to finish getting it, just laser straight before we actually paint it. But hopefully maybe this winter I'll get it finished and painted, and then have it back out. I'm having a ball out of that little truck. Sure. I drove it 5.5 hours the weekend before last, and then 3 the last weekend. It runs and drives just so good. I just got to get the AC fixed. That's next on the agenda for it, because it's a little warm out here.
Oh yeah, I know. Especially you're considered the South. And you live up in Tennessee, right? What city do you live in?
Mountain City, Tennessee. It's as far east of Tennessee as you can go before you get North Carolina and Virginia. I am an hour from a Walmart. I've got a lot of Dollar Generals, but no Walmart near me.
Oh man, that's hilarious, man. Yeah, we're talking to Frank Icenhour, and Frank Icenhour, and one of the cool things, we talked a little bit about Down for Dennis. I mean, you had a great time out there. I know our homie Josh Ellis was out there as well. When we had you on before, we talked a little bit about this, but just the 80s and 90s, man, the nostalgia of it is something that it just brings me back. Just the other day was the anniversary of Pee-wee's Big Playhouse, right? And it may not be everyone's favorite movie, but, come out in 85, Tim Burton's first movie, he's around a director, around 21 years old, directs this movie, definitely a cult classic. What would you say that just kind of keeps you, in the 80s and 90s, that mindset like we love?
Oh yeah, just it's everything. If anyone sees me at a show, I normally have on something pretty bright, 90s looking. Like I wear Reebok pumps still. I sort of dress in that vibe, and like I said, I do the vintage toys and things, and I mean even that, like I listen to the 80s music, the 80s 90s music is mostly my favorite. So I guess I'm kind of stuck in the 80s or 90s, really. I mean, I've got a mullet, so like that's a part of it. But it's just a nostalgia thing. I think things in life were a lot easier back then than they are now. When you were younger, like you didn't have as much responsibility, you didn't have as many troubles, as many worries. It was just an easier time, I guess, just to look back on, and that's something I remember and I like, and the nostalgia feeling, it brings you back to that, and I'm a big fan of that, I guess.
Yeah, no, I know, and it's ironic because we sometimes joke around about how, like, our kids in 20 years gonna go, man, 2021 was like, the best time to ever live. I mean, I don't think so, because like when you look at the 80s, I've seen even some younger people now, I don't know who they are, but like they'll comment on stuff and they're like, man, you guys are in the 80s, you grew up in the best decade with the movies and stuff, and we could do a whole episode on it, but it's like I look back to like, this run of like the Spielberg movies from the 70s into the 80s, and E.T., Indiana Jones, Back to the Future, just so many movies, and then the toy stuff was really ramping up. Like many of us have watched the movies that made us, the toys that made us, and that stuff. I don't know what it is, man, and I'm stoked that it's really just come full circle, man.
Yeah, for sure. It really. I mean, I really think it was really a special time, and it's not anything that can be duplicated. And I don't think it won't be able to be like that again. But people really do appreciate it now, and I mean, I think that's really great because it was awesome for sure.
Yeah, and thinking back to the 80s, there's a lot of movies that come to mind. I mean, I even liked in Pee-wee's Big Adventure, you've got, if you go back, for anyone that hasn't seen it in forever, you go back and you watch, and they've got like that BMX team on there, and he's doing these supposed stupid tricks on his bike, and these other kids are doing tricks on their bikes. But when you think back to the 80s, like, do you have one movie that just, you could go back to, like, it's your favorite, whether it's the album or the cover art, or it's the movie or whatever, even if it's corny?
Oh yeah. Let's see. Gosh, if I had to go with my favorite 80s movie, I mean, what comes to mind is probably The Goonies. I really love The Goonies. I think it's just really awesome. It's a great story, and of course it's about kids, so it's you really get that 80s like young vibe, like when you were children, because like I wasn't, I was young in the 80s. I wasn't an adult, so So I think maybe if I was to have to go with one, that would be the one.
Yeah, it's so classic, man, and it's funny because it's like as I got older over the years, like I remembered watching it as a kid, but I didn't. And I remember it would come on TV and we'd watch it and stuff, and we were scared with some of the scenes, whatever. But it's just like that one always, that and Rad. And then, of course, I remember I didn't get to see Back to the Future in the movies, but I remember when it was coming on. Remember back in the day, they'd be like, oh, it's the broadcast premiere of a movie. That was like when it was finally like it did its run. Then it went to VHS. It did its run, made millions, and then boom, then it comes on TV. And I don't know if it was around 88, 80, maybe 88-ish is in my mind. And I remember my mom going, hey, this movie's about to start, and running in and watching it. But they were definitely good times, and it is crazy today how stuff is like so at our fingertips, because you can get a $10 to $15 to $20 subscription to Netflix, and then boom, you can watch Stranger Things, and Stranger Things really kind of transports you back into the 80s, I would say.
It really does, yeah. They did a really good job with that, with throwing it back, which is 80 movies too. And another one which we haven't mentioned is Ghostbusters, because Ghostbusters is a classic.
It really is.
You can't forget about Ghostbusters.
Yeah,
the new one I guess is coming out here soon. It looks like hopefully it'll be good, but obviously it won't ever be like the original too, but
yeah, and for those that don't know, this is really cool that with Ghostbuster Afterlife, it's been delayed like some other movies, right, because of the pandemic. They invest, as you know, Frank, did big money in these movies, so they gotta have a return. It is expected 11/11, so later this year. But the original director, it's his son that directed it, so it's Jason Reitman, I think is how you say it. And imagine that your dad directs this movie. It's this iconic, part 1, part 2, cult classics, and then really classics by many standards. And then as the son, he gets to direct it later on in life, dude. That's full circle. Yeah,
it's really awesome. And of course, with this new one, they're bringing back all the original Ghostbusters, all but Harold Ramis, who's passed away. But I'm sure that the whole movie's basically about his family. So like it's a whole nod to all of the classic things, and it's chock full of Easter eggs. Obviously, the movie's not out, but if you just watch the trailer, there's just so much throwback to everything else that you miss a lot of it. But there you can get on YouTube and find somebody to break it down for you. But it's just I think they're doing a really good job of it. So I've got high hopes for it.
Yeah, it's crazy. You can be a video trailer breaker downer on YouTube these days, because but that one apparently I've seen some of the stuff, man, and it's like, dude, it is packed with Easter eggs and stuff. But so obviously we've had this crazy year and a half with this crazy pandemic. You've been out enjoying yourself. Last time I think we synced up might have been Southeast Mini Natch. You mentioned it earlier, one of our favorite shows. Can't wait for the registration to open with that for next April, Maggie Valley, North Carolina. But what else do you have in store this year? I know you've always got a lot going on, cool stuff, collecting stuff. A few more months left in the year. Anything else you got planned, man?
Oh yeah. There's a few more. Let's see. Which Sparks is this coming weekend in Pigeon Forge. So I'm gonna be down for that. It's gonna be real good. And then I guess actually Rod Run in Pigeon Forge is later on in September. And then October, we've got Slam Fest. I'll be down for Slam Fest. I don't know if I'm gonna drive the truck or not yet, but I'll be down there for sure. I already booked my hotel. And then on the Dorky side of things, also in October, they're having it's like a Comic-Con. It's called Fanboy in Knoxville. If you're anywhere near Knoxville, it's a really good time. They have all kinds of celebrities you can meet and get autographs and buy dorky things, toys and video games and all that. So I'll be doing that, I guess. And
cool.
And who knows, maybe a few other little shows, anything we can pack in. I'm normally gone somewhere every weekend. I have to get oil changes a lot more than most because of all the driving I do.
Hells yeah, man. Well, I think I can think of one more question for you. I'm glad you're going to be coming to SlamFest 30. A little quick promo. I would tell anyone, SlamFest, the 30th anniversary is this October. It's the 9th and 10th. Going off the top of my head, you can go to minimadness.com and pre-register, save $20, and that's like the equivalent of getting a free show shirt, or obviously spend the money on beer, food, whatever. They're at the fairgrounds right here in the Tampa Bay area, minimadness.com for more. But Frank, I know I've seen you have that wrestling vibe, right? And I don't collect those little action figures. I know they're highly collectible, especially the 80s ones. What's one of your favorite memories from the 80s talking about wrestling?
Oh yeah. I'm big. I don't watch the new stuff now, but yeah, 80s and 90s, it was my big thing. Of course, some of my favorites, Hulk Hogan and Macho Man Randy Savage, Ultimate Warrior, Ric Flair, all Jake the Snake Roberts, all really, really awesome. From back in the day, I only got to watch it once because I don't know, we didn't have a whole lot of money, so just one year that me and my brother actually got to watch a live show, and I just remember, gosh, it was just so over the top and so awesome. They had the pyrotechnics, they had all the lights, all these bigger than life guys. They were just giant, and it was just really, really awesome to see in person. But But I guess the thing I really remember most, though, even more than that, was all the promos that they did on TV and stuff, where they would just talk everything up, and they were just talking nonsense, but it would just get you hyped up. And I was always a big fan of that. And I would mimic like Ric Flair or somebody, where it'd be Rolex wearing, jet flying, limousine riding,
Yeah.
and all of that. And I was just, I was really a big fan of like I said, more so the talking and the personas than I even was the actual act of the wrestling.
Oh, sure.
It was all about the showmanship.
Yeah.
And if anybody knows me, they sort of know that I've took that, and I'm a bit of that myself, with my flashy clothes and outfits. I know at Battle at Bama I had on a bright orange suit. If anybody was there, that was me in the parking lot of the hotel in the bright orange top hat. And but so I've took a little bit of that away, I guess, and that's something that I really like. I like from it, I guess.
Yeah, very cool, man. Yeah, it's just a great era. I remember just seeing Macho Man on all of the, the persona that he had on the Slim Jim stuff and all the things that they did. Of course, as you know, with the Goonies, the Cyndi Lauper, they had shot the video separately, and then of course there's like the long extended version of that video that's super long. I think it's almost 10 minutes, and they got a bunch of wrestlers in there, and it was just it was super huge. And it's funny because I saw something on Twitter today that it was like back in '77, the day we're recording this, was when Hulk Hogan made his debut. I forget if it was Sarasota, but my dad remembered, that Hulk went to school down here, and my dad remembered he played in a band, and he's like, man, he had hair down to his ass, in the back, and he would always wear these nice big silk shirts and all this different stuff. But he would, that's how he kind of got his start, and then he started doing the amateur stuff, as far as I know. But yeah, I mean, it's crazy the legacy that some of these guys have built, over the years. Pretty cool.
Yeah, for sure. And one, I've got one good story about when I met Ric Flair that I think people would like. And it wasn't at a convention or an event, which he's been at some of those I've been to, but no, this was about 10 years ago. I ended up, I went into it was a bar and restaurant in Boone, North Carolina. It was called The Library. It was sort of like a Hooters, where the girls dressed up in the little plaid skirts and things and served. Well, yeah. So I went in there. It was like 2:00 on like a Wednesday, or just some random day of the week. And when I walked in, I saw a guy sitting at the bar, and I looked, and I wasn't sure if my eyes were deceiving me, but when I walked by, I sat at my table and I sort of was looking. Well, then I walked by and went to the bathroom. And on my way to the bathroom, I got a closer look, and sure enough, Ric Flair was sitting at the bar in this little restaurant in Boone, North Carolina, at like 2:00 on a Wednesday, and he was trashed.
Wow.
he wasn't eating; he was just drinking. And when I came out of the bathroom, on the way in, I knew it was him. So then I had to come up with a game plan, because I wanted to talk to him on the way out. So when I came out and saw him, and he looked at me, the only thing that could come out of my mouth is I went, woo! And he looked at me and gave me finger guns and went, woo! Even louder. And that is the only thing he said to me. And he went back to drinking.
That's funny. Yeah, and it was cool because you didn't feel like you disturbed him, but you connected with him a little bit.
Yeah, for sure. It turns out, but I figured out later why he was there. It turns out his daughter, was Charlotte Flair, who is apparently now a wrestler, even though I don't really keep up with it much, but she played volleyball at ASU in Boone, and apparently he was there for one of her games that evening, and he was, I guess, just having a good old time by himself, waiting until it was time to go over there and watch her play.
Rock on, dude. That's freaking awesome.
And yeah, so like small world, just you don't expect to run into Ric Flair, 45 minutes from your house when you live in the middle of nowhere like I do. So, but it was really cool.
Yeah, that's very cool, man. Well, hey, it's always cool to link up, man. It really is. I like seeing you at shows. We always, talk a little bit about shit we love. Obviously, shit we're talking about right now, and for you to take a couple minutes to say what's up, we appreciate it. Of course, you were at Down for Dennis last week,
sure.
And just wanted everyone to kind of hear from someone that was there. And Frank, man, we wish you luck the rest of the year, bro. Let's get through this crazy one and on to 2022.
All right, sweet, awesome. I appreciate it, man. Always a pleasure.
Appreciate you, Frank. Have a good night, man.
All right, see you.
Yo, Frank, thank you so much, man. That was awesome. Love syncing up with the big homie. And it's always fun, dude. Guy's into some cool stuff. And it was awesome that he was boots on the ground at Down for Dennis. So Mike is gone. He had the drop. What I'm going to do is I'll finish up a few other things we'll cover, and then we've got a jam-packed interview with Joey and Heather that we're going to roll into. So the key show updates, we talked to Frank. From a second half standpoint, we cover these dates a lot. If you want to subscribe to our calendar, go to Our Lifestyle Podcast on your phone. On the left side, tap on the official digital OLP show calendar. It's going to ask if you want to subscribe. This is done through iCloud. It doesn't matter if you're on an iPhone or Android device. You can subscribe to the calendar, and all of these dates will be in your device. You can, of course, filter those out if need be, just by unselecting that particular calendar. I've got additional updates that I need to make going into next year, including Lone Star Throwdown. I mentioned last episode that Lone Star Throwdown is available for pre-registration. So if you go to LoneStarThrowdown.com, you'll see that they have the active timer going. We've got basically 196 days until the event, give or take. You can register. It's only $60, and it's at LoneStarThrowdown.com. So I'll add that one to the calendar. Now, other than LST next year, we're kind of down to a few more shows. So this weekend is the Spark Show. Now, I am not going to make it up there. We've got a storm coming, but I also have a few things going on at work on Friday, so I can't take the day off like I had hoped. So I'm going to be hunkered down here. I talked to Adam. I talked to Dizzy. I know they're going to have a good time. We'll be posting photos from the Spark Show that DJ Maze and Diggity Dom will be taking. So be safe for everybody that's going to the Spark Show. We've went the last 2 years. It is a blast. Have fun. Follow them on social media, The Spark Show. They're out there. All right, so Attitude Check is coming up, and this one on Facebook, you have to search Attitude Check, and you'll see that Joey Dilworth has posted about it. It's at Mr. B's Park. It is August 19th through the 22nd that weekend, and there's a lot more information out there. On Facebook is really the key thing. It's $40 registration, and there are a bunch of different hotels that are the host hotels. But just look up Attitude Check. I think it's the 9th annual event, so you'll see Attitude Check 9 on Facebook. Small Town Throwdown is going to be September 4th, and I am going to announce that I'm not going to be there. Now, that's Labor Day weekend in St. Cloud, Florida. I know the Vertically Challenged fam will be holding it down. I was graciously invited with Street Trucks out to the California area for C10 Intervention, which is an awesome big show. We're going to be doing some live stream stuff there and social media awareness. So, but if you're in Florida, I'd highly encourage you. It's a 3-day weekend for many. Go to Small Town Throwdown. Slamfest is after that. And many of you know it's the 30th anniversary of Slamfest. So if you can, pre-register minimadness.com. Save $20 or so with the pre-reg. And Slamfest is the 9th and 10th of October. So October 9th and 10th in Tampa. Typically, it's going to be awesome weather. It'll still be, warm enough that you don't have to wear jackets or anything. If you can, and you've been on the fence about coming to Slamfest or to the Tampa Bay area, this is the year. Slamfest 30 hashtag is where it's going down. We'll have SEMA, which will be the first week in November. Laying at the Lake is November 12th through the 14th in Grapeland, Texas. And then Biggity Bayou Showdown is the 19th through the 21st. That's in Slidell, Louisiana. That's part of our fam at the Custom Car Show Productions in conjunction with Mr. Sean Randall. We'll have a lot more coming on that show, Bayou Showdown. They're on Facebook for more information. So those are the key show updates, and those are brought to you by our family at the West Coast Influence. We've said this before. We'd ask that you take a moment. If you don't own the West Coast Influence, you can go to minitruckfilm.com, make a purchase. You got a Blu-ray, you got a DVD, your choice. They also have a couple of custom Hot Wheels available. Get out there, order it, add it to your collection, minitruckfilm.com. All right, so the podcast updates, we're hoping to launch something new this month. You got to stay tuned. It's going to be awesome. We appreciate the continued support. We continue to have orders come in every week, and we would ask if you are interested in supporting the cause, please go to ourlifestylepodcast.com. Just how it sounds. Make a purchase. We have items on there as low as, I think $5. I did add a new ODB air freshener. Started as a joke. Biggity Boss Bolin ordered these, and he came through. We had some interest with a few people wanting them, and I put them up there for the cost that we paid. So big ups to the big homie, Tony Boss Bolin, for ordering those. Those are the only podcast updates right now. And as Mike mentioned earlier, we want to thank Joey at Get Decked. Now, not only does he put on Attitude Check each year, he also has a company called Get Decked. If you want to put your vehicle on a skate deck, he can do it. Minimum order as low as $1. If you're a show promoter and you want some best of awards with skate decks, or you want something similar to what we've been doing, look no further than Joey Get Decked. He's on Facebook. He's on Instagram. Just search Get Decked. All right, Airhead Nation updates. This one's quick. Happy Born Day to the big homie Chris Burns, a.k.a. CB. I know Ruben's going to get us the video of him peeling out of the shop on a Friday. I know he loves doing that. But big ups to Chris Burns. It's his born day, and wanted to keep this one short and sweet this week. So happy, 25th B-Day to the big homie, Chris Burns. And speaking of the big homie, I talked to Rickety Ron Perkins at Hammered Weekend Wear. He's doing better. He obviously had some hiccups along this Hammered World Tour. He wanted to send much love to the Airhead Nation and all the supporters out there. He mentioned if you go to HAMMERD weekendwear.com, you can get the new merch. I just got the DJ Maze shirt, which is the teal short. That's his short bed, awesome teal S10. It was featured in Street Trucks. Love this mini truck. That is on the new one of the new shirts, and then of course you got the Hummer as well. So my tank tops came in, my tees came in. I got the banner of DJ Maze's truck. So Mike and I are doing our best to support wherever we can. If you want to support the big homie, HAMMERD weekendwear.com, and I know that there is going to be a slight adjustment to the rest of the show's schedule for the Hammered Weekend Wear tour, but rest assured he'll be back out there and slanging some merch real soon. And then lastly, before we roll into the audio with Heather and Joey, two quick things. One, if you've ever watched the Versus, okay, I love these things. I watched the Method Man and Redman one. You can kind of watch them through social media, and I think that whole concept has maybe been sold. But some of them are like DMX and Snoop. Rest in peace, DMX. They'll kind of just play their songs back to back and kind of just have like a good time, right? Like a mini concert. The one recently was the Lox and Dipset, and I'd be more of a fan of the Lox out of those two. But Jadakiss, great MC, love Jadakiss's music. He literally murdered, in the sense of hip hop, Dipset. It was pretty awesome, and many of you probably like last week started seeing all this different stuff. But like Jadakiss went up there with his MC skills and literally laid it down. So that was freaking awesome. Also, want to say big ups to Rob Maggi. Okay, Rob owned Master Image Customs. He owned Krew Kut, and got a chance to link up with Rob a little bit recently, through messaging and whatnot. And when we did this interview, we talked a lot about, I don't want to get into that, but you'll kind of hear the story of how Krew Kut ties into Heather and Joey, right? 20 years ago. They were the caretakers, but, I don't think Rob gets enough credit when you look at MIC and what they did, the run that they went on with the covers and the back covers and so many builds. You know, a lot of that is the credited to Rob. I don't know Rob personally, but I've been able to connect with him a little bit. And we hope that we'll be able to get Rob to tell his story, because I tell you what, if you think back to that era, so many vehicles came out of that MIC garage. You know what I mean? That shop, that workshop. So got to give a tip of the cap. You know, Rob, I don't think we hear his name enough. You know, they put out DVD back in the day, all these different covers, back covers. Oh, by the way, he was the one, we've kind of talked about it a little bit over the years. He was the one that said, hey, we'll go ahead. I think it was with Brian McCormick. We talked about how that giveaway came about. And I think Sean Mahaney, he talked about it a little bit, actually, rest in peace, when he was on. But we've covered a lot of different aspects of West Side that became Krew Kut. And this is just another facet of that amazing truck that, of course, Dave Schulman now owns and really shares with everyone. So with that being said, again, I want to tip the cap to Rob Maggi, MICOG, Master Image Customs. With that being said, thanks to Colorado Custom Wheels. We often will tell you best customer service in the industry, coloradocustom.com. Hit up Michael and team. I know right now it's tough to get stuff, you know, supply stuff and things like that, but they're doing their best. And if you can, get over there. Steering wheels, wheels in general, and then, of course, rear view mirrors. They do it all. coloradocustom.com. Have a great weekend, everyone. Enjoy this interview and stay on the rise. ODB, we out here. Peace. Yo, so as I mentioned, we're super excited. We've been working on this one for a while. We got our friends, our kinfolk, Joey and Heather. How you both doing?
Hey, man, what's going on?
Not much, Joey. Appreciate
having us.
Appreciate the time. And Heather, how you been?
I'm good, very good.
That's good stuff. You guys are coming at us from Mississippi, right?
Yeah, so we're North Mississippi. We're like an hour from Memphis,
And I
between
think
Memphis and Jackson. So.
And I think is it Grenada? Is that how you say it?
Yep, just like the island, Grenada.
Okay. Yeah, all right. So I learned something from talking to you guys back in the day. I always remember Grenada. I forget if it was on the license plates, because, you know, in some states don't they put the city maybe on the plate or something?
Right. In Mississippi, we've got it's not really the city, but the county.
Oh, the county.
The county's at the bottom, so, right.
Yep.
Unless you're rocking a NASCAR tag or something.
Yeah, vanity plate. Yeah, no, I hear you.
Right.
Well, I had kind of mentioned earlier with Mike when we were recording, you know, we're super excited about this one. There's definitely a lot to talk about, but I kind of, an icebreaker, just to kind of maybe give the listeners a little bit about yourself, Heather or Joey, if either one of you guys want to go. I just thought it would kind of help, bring the listeners up to speed. Who is Heather? Who is Joey?
Yeah, so I'm Joey, and man, I've been in the sport automotive since I was a kid. I guess born as a gearhead.
That's right.
Yeah.
And Heather and I met at a pretty young age, and actually met through her sister. And when I went over to her sister's house one day, I'm like, man, this chick's got mini trucking magazines and lowrider magazine posters all over her wall.
No way. I mean, dude, knew you were set right there.
She's got to be cool, right? So
Yeah.
I knew I'd won the lottery.
That's good stuff. And it's Joey Realmuto, right?
Yeah, you got it. Yep.
And then
and Heather.
And then Heather. So you guys been down since the old school days, huh, Heather?
That's right, way back in the day.
Heck yeah! So you met through your sister. Now you guys, I would assume, kind of just grew up in the same area.
Oh no, same town, same school, same everything.
Yes.
Awesome. Awesome. Now, I mean, Heather, were you really involved? Like, did you love the truck stuff, or is he just kind of joking around with us, or did you really have kind of a connection to the car world?
I absolutely loved the trucks. Mini Truckin magazine. As soon as that came out, I had every issue. I took them apart, put them on the wall. My favorite ones. Put the magazines back together. I just loved them, and I wanted a truck more than anything. I mean, that was just what I wanted. But I was stuck in my mom's car for a while, which was a beat down Toyota Cressida
Wow.
until I could eventually get something.
Yeah, well, we all started
But,
somewhere, and you know how that goes.
That's right. That's right. So it just kind of went from there.
Yeah, and Joey, you'll know, both you guys will know Karen Moore from RA up in the Pacific Northwest. When I had interviewed her, she kind of had a similar story, Heather, where, she was into the stuff and she didn't even realize that there were other people that were into it as much, in different areas and stuff. And it is crazy to think, like, back in those days with no social media, I mean, the magazines were kind of how, the stuff spread.
Right. That's all you had. I mean, when you were at the grocery store, when you're at Walmart, I mean, you're looking at magazines, looking at everything you can, get your hands on, because not as easy as it is now. Definitely not. And just to see those features, to see those covers, I mean, just to be like, that could be me, that could be my truck, or looking at wheels and accessories and just paint schemes. I mean, just crazy. Yes. But I loved it. I mean, I loved art, I loved design, and I just really, really, really liked it.
Yeah, very cool. Now, Joey, what about you? I mean, obviously, you guys grew up in an area where, arguably there's a lot of mini truckers from that state. But, circa early 90s, you must be getting into it, too, around the time that you meet Heather.
Yeah. So I think my first car was a little sports car full of stereo stuff, big audio. So I kind of rolled from the audio, and it was a semi-custom. I mean, it wasn't like full-blown mini trucking, but, it was pretty cool. And I think it was an Isuzu. So my first actual mini truck was a Ford Ranger. And I don't know if I've shared pictures of that with you or not, but Heather and I first started dating. And
wasn't it? It was like our second date.
Our second date, yeah. I had just had, like, ground effects put on it. It just had gone through paint. Anyway, we're rear-ended at a stoplight or an intersection.
Both of you together? Wow.
Barrels into us. Yeah. So it was like our second or third date.
Whiplash.
And her head hits the dashboard, and I'm like, "Are you okay?" And I get out, and my truck's just toasted, dude. It was pretty bad.
Yes.
So I ended up after that truck, I bought my Nissan, and that's what I drove for 3 or 4 years, and it was featured a few times. It was kind of old school fun.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's what led to my first mini truck, real mini truck, I guess you could say.
Right.
What was the Nissan?
Yeah, and being a huge fan of the 80s, you kind of needed Spicoli there to say that, your dad could fix it. He's got tools, right? From Fast Time at Ridgemont High.
That's right.
Well, dude, I'm glad you guys were okay, though.
Oh, yeah, we made it. But she hit us pretty hard, and there was actually a cop across the street, and he said she had to be doing 65. So anyway, that's what kind of led into the little Nissan pickup. But yeah, kind of growing up, my dad always had motorcycles and some type of quirky classic like a MG or a Corvette or something. He was always messing with something in the garage, but mainly motorcycles. And I never really got into bikes, probably because he was so big time into them. I wanted to go the other direction, be in the cars and trucks. But so after the Nissan, man, I couldn't tell you how many more vehicles we've done. We've always had cool daily drivers and a couple really nice pieces in the garage as well.
Yeah, so talk to us a little bit about, like, before, because the club that I always thought of that you were in first kind of, I think, was the second club you were in, right? And then obviously, how things go, we all grow. Talk to us a little bit about the early days, because some folks may not know, Joey, that you were actually in kind of an early, I'd say maybe a local club.
Yeah, so there was a local club. It was Illusion Minis. There's a guy named Shannon Storms who's still in the scene. I think that guy has like a Lincoln like yours now. Matter of fact, Eli and Justin had done some work on it a few years back.
Ah, yeah.
So anyway, it was a bunch of local guys. Man, we did shows, we did Christmas parades, whatever we could do to get out and just have fun.
Uh-huh.
So after Illusion, we kind of broke up. I met some really nice guys who were the Assorted Club, Assorted Miniatures, and we joined Assorted. Had a couple really good years with those guys. I mean, I couldn't say enough good things about that whole group. We helped do Show Fest for a couple years, but eventually, since we were so close to Memphis, we had so many friends in RA, really good friends, Jerry Lewis, I can't tell you, Chris Hansen, all the guys in the Memphis chapter. We were asked to join those guys, and they're still, we're still part of that family.
Yeah, and so awesome, and that's the way it goes a lot of times. You know, we had a first club, and then you kind of grow, and you know, some clubs were national clubs, and others were kind of maybe more regional. Every time I see the assorted guys, got so much love and respect for them because, you know, you mentioned the S word, Showfest, right, and that gets my ears perked up. You know, you guys were traveling to so many different shows back in the day, but I mean, when you think of Showfest and the effort they put on, I think the first year was 96, which is really the 25th year. And then you think about how much that show grew. I mean, did you ever envision, even in the early days when you were rolling with Assorted, that they could get it to the level that it got to, man?
You know, we even did a small show in my hometown just to have something to do on a cold December day. And it was after we did the show in '96. There's so much involved in doing a show. I can't tell you enough how hard it is and the things those guys go through to get everything together, from sponsorships to insurance to, you know, meeting local politics. There was a lot of work in that show, and those guys did a heck of a job, you know, getting to where it was. Definitely made a mark in, you know, the history for sure.
Yeah, I think for us to kind of get pulled up that way from Florida, you know, in 2000, we started going, you know, and seeing, you know, Bill Carlton rolling in when, you know, the 88 to 98 dually was, you know, didn't even have graphics on it. And then you had the West Coast come out like 04, 05-ish. But, I mean, for all of us to descend upon, you know, this little town, Greenville, you know, obviously a little bit of a drive depending on where you live in the state, but dude, I mean, it turned into just a show that many of us are still talking about. And it's funny, Joey, because a lot of people that I know, you know, they'll make a comment like, damn, man, I really should have went to that show. I can't believe I never even got to go. And I was like, dude, man, you missed out.
We had to get a hotel room way in advance to even be able to stay
it's
somewhere.
you know, such a small town and so many people. Pretty amazing. Definitely made a mark on our history and our culture.
Yeah,
many good times, you know.
Now, let me ask you this, because I remember you've sent some photos, and we'll share some of them. So your Nissan, we'll talk more about the trucks, you know, some of the other ones, but it seems like Sharts shot it. And did it get shot like in the early days of Showfest? Because I forget what that was like. It seemed like around April '96 it ran, so that was probably shot maybe even before Showfest or like in '95.
Yeah, it was actually it was shot in Jennings, Louisiana, at a show the first time. The second time Mike shot it was at Showfest, I think in maybe '97 or '98. So yeah, and the first time Mike was at a show in Louisiana. And I don't think Heather was with me at that show. I think it was me and a buddy from home. But that was a pretty big deal, right? So it was a huge deal. And then, you know, later on, it went its separate ways, and we decided to build her Tacoma.
Yeah, it was epic. And the Nissan was black originally, right, with the styling of that era. And then it morphed into, you know, I think it had the camper shell, the topper on it, but then it morphed into the graphics, and then that's what allowed, you know, with the Phantom Grill, that allowed for you to get reshot, right?
Yeah. So we totally changed the truck. It was a two-tone with graphics, and went with, you know, big billet wheels. It was a totally different from the, you know, the Nieper Pyro Flames that were like 15x8 reverse wheels. So a little bit of a different look. I mean, it still had the ground effects, and you know, it was still kind of old school looking. Then it had air shocks on it, man. I think if I remember right, Trendsetters may have made the brackets for those. So that's how far back. Lots of parts from Trendsetters and Stage 1 Customs. That's all I can tell you.
Amazing.
So yeah, it was a fun truck.
Yeah, so we started to talk about the Tacoma a little bit, and Heather, this is kind of cool because I think the transition's awesome because you got basically the Nissan that's kind of known in my head as Joey's, but then you come along with this 95 Tacoma, you know, extra cab, and you had to, I mean, do you remember when you first bought that, Heather?
Oh, yes. I mean, it was everything that I wanted, and it was black. I mean, that was the best of the best there. And I couldn't wait to get it. And, of course, as soon as we got it, you know, Joey's already wanting to do things to it. And no sooner do we get it before we had it broken down and doing things to it. I mean, I drove it every day. I mean, I loved it.
Yeah, it was a
it was
really
actually
cool truck.
It was bagged, and it was daily driver.
Daily driver every day.
Yeah, and that's the cool thing because, I wanted that history for you guys to, for everyone to hear this, because it's awesome to me that you guys have been together for so long, but it's like you've established, you had your own lane, like you loved the stuff, and it wasn't like you just loved it because Joey did, right? And you guys were, really hit it off. Joey, talk to us a little bit about when you guys first got the truck, because it almost seems like, you mentioned to me before it was like maybe an early production model, kind of coming out of the gate, but I mean, it seems like overnight, like a lot of stuff was done to that truck, and it was so clean.
Yeah, so I remember ordered a set of Antera wheels and just did a static drop for the first couple months. And like many, I turned it over to some really good friends, and things didn't go so well. And on the air ride the first time. So we get it back, we worked through some bugs. And then probably about 6 months later, I met Eric at Custom Works, Eric and Matt Long. And about that time, they were building Chris Hansen's Mazda. Mm-hmm. And we're like, hey, dude, I've got this really nice truck. It's loaded. I'm still paying for it. Mm-hmm. It's got some issues. We need you to fix it. And they kind of rescued it, man. They dug into it and made it right.
Yeah, their shop, they did such clean work, didn't they?
Yeah, they really did. And from there, it kind of evolved into almost like a full-blown show truck.
Yeah, and looking at the feature, the cool thing was, for anyone that's got the old sport trucks, July 2001 is when I first remember it was featured. It seems like yesterday that you guys were down here in Tampa for Slamfest, and I want to say it was Slamfest, the dates would align here with 2000. And I remember seeing the truck, and I always thought it was cool that you guys were willing, to come down, like, as a couple, you guys traveled to as many shows as you could. But when I look back at the feature, it's like the bed was so clean. It looks like, you got the electric valves there when the fast bags were starting to become big. And the interior was so clean, right? I mean, but it wasn't anything that was so overly done. But I think it's a truck now, Heather and Joey, that you could bring back and dude, people would just gawk over it.
Oh, absolutely. It's like it was built to be driven, right? It wasn't really built to be put on a turntable by any means. But, we enjoyed it, and we had to, we made it to where it could still be driven and enjoyed. And even though, yeah, we trailered it to some shows, man, like Texas Heat Wave. I think one year we drove it, but the following year, when it had the blue paint, I think we trailered it. And I believe we even trailered it once to Tampa. Just because, those are 14-hour runs, right?
Sure, yeah.
And anyway, yeah, it was still drivable, and that's what made the truck really, really fun. I kicked myself in the butt for selling it. I kind of lost touch with it. It went to Texas and then I think Arizona. But I wish I could have just stuck it in a time capsule and kept it.
Oh, yeah.
But like anything else, man, my biggest problem has always been room. And to do something else, I normally have to sell something to have the room to build it or store it. Right.
Exactly.
So yeah, that's always been our challenge for us. If not, I would have kept everything probably.
Right, we would have.
Oh yeah,
Definitely.
Heather, one of the things I loved about the truck, I'm looking at the feature. I love that. By today's standards, we call it a glass house, right? So it had no tint. I know how you guys roll. It was just super clean. But then the graphic on it, too. What was your favorite part of the Tacoma before it was kind of reborn, which we'll talk about?
Definitely. With the flames on it, when it was black with the flames on it, the hood was my absolute favorite. And so much of a favorite that when I redid the truck, we still have the hood. So
nice.
We bought a new hood when we actually changed the color. And I don't know, a couple days ago I looked at it. So we still have it. I won't let it go.
That's cool.
But other than the hood, I would say the flames that went inside the door. That was always something. When I opened the door, people were just, couldn't believe that there was, a little touch of detail inside the door jamb. And that's always a big thing to me, was always that I wanted something, in the door jamb, just a little something extra. So when you open the door, you just something there that just gives it a little more detail and all. So, but definitely the hood would be my favorite thing.
Yeah,
I think now that we've kind of grown into hot rods and street rods, that's kind of what we do now. And man, paint like that, it's just kind of, it still grabs you.
It does. It was so smooth. So slick. You couldn't feel the flames, not even in the door jambs. So, to me, it's just beautiful, just like glass.
Oh, yeah. And Joe, you probably remember this. In the Tacomas, I always remember, like, to me, it seems like the corner light is shaved, right? Because I know Eric Cryan, he had the 99 and Dragon one down here, the copper one, and he was one of the only guys I remember that underneath the headlight, those like composite headlights, a lot of the guys wouldn't. There was that little piece of plastic or wherever it was, and he had shaved his, and it was just like one of the only ones I remember. But on this one, it seems like the marker lights were shaved, so the billet grill just like really popped on it.
Yeah, and I'm trying to remember. I think Eric Customworks shaved those, and we did all the finished body work here.
Oh, really?
But he had shaved the corners for us, and those were 4-wheel drive fenders, if I remember right. But kind of rolled around.
Very cool.
Just gave it that phantom look.
Yep. Mm-hmm. So there wasn't a lot of body mods on that truck.
Yeah, and you didn't really need a lot of body mods. It just really pops.
Yeah. Door handles. I think the tailgate was welded shut. Roll pan was all molded, but nothing super crazy. And the mods that we did have were super subtle. Like there were a few body lines tweaked here and there to match up certain areas, but nothing to make it to look like just like a street rod. We wanted it to, you not know that was done.
Right.
Oh yeah.
And and there's so much things you can do, right? So like when we built that truck was a 95, so it had the old school mirrors. We updated the mirrors. We had the gas door that had the key. So rather than shaving the key, the newer body style truck had the little handle on it, so it was already shaved. So so many things you can do by just visiting your local, Toyota parts house.
Right.
It's like, hey, right? So yeah, it was all the small things back then that made the difference.
Yeah, so Jim Aust, I think is how you say it. I found him on Instagram and tagged him in a feature, and he was like, oh, man, that's freaking awesome. And he's like, I remember that. And, I think he shoots it. But you guys had to have been really, elated, I think is the word, because that was like Sport Truck July 01. But then a few months later, you have the 10 best sport trucks of 2001. I mean, Heather, you had to have been so stoked to kind of see, super clean truck, don't get me wrong, but for top 10 trucks, that had to make you smile.
That was amazing. I mean, when we flipped that magazine open and I saw that, I just could not believe it. I mean, top 10 that's it. I mean, that's amazing.
Yep.
We didn't even know. Like, I think we were at a Walmart, and I was like, grab the Sport Truck magazine, because I don't think we had a subscription to Sport Truck at the time. And she flipped it over, and she's like, hey, my truck's in here. So, yeah, that was pretty cool to see that. And then that was a big accomplishment. So,
yeah, it's pretty awesome. So, what I think some folks may not know is the truck was reborn. And, I mean, it went on this epic run because, I mean, it has a lot of other features in these other magazines. But talk to us a little bit. My understanding was maybe there was an accident or something. But talk to us what led to the truck being redone.
Yeah, so it was the year that we had the Krew Kut in Greenville. We're headed back to the strip, right, from the show, and I get a call, and she had been rear-ended by a Torino.
Wow.
This big boat of a car just plowed in the back of the Tacoma. It was pretty bad, so yeah, that kind of led to, rebuilding the bed, pretty much a full color change, right? New wheels, new interior. Pulled the motor, re-chromed everything, so it was kind of like a rebirth of the truck. And then after that, it was featured several times. But we had a lot of fun even after the second run. Man, we still enjoyed it, and we did a bunch of shows. And like I said, it was unfortunate, but it led to better things.
That's right. And we couldn't lose the flames, so I just had to come up with a new flame scheme there, and kind of just drew those out and took them to the painter and said, this is what I want. And we kind of went over it and found a Volkswagen color that I really liked. Just wanted to get away from the black, something, easier, something different. And I just love the candy apple red. So I was like, why not? Kind of at first I was kind of scared of it, but then I was like, no, let's just go for it. If we're going to do it, do it all in. So go ahead.
Oh, yeah.
It was like a 74 bug color. It was guinea blue.
Guinea blue.
Yeah, and when you got in the accident, Heather, and the person plows into you, like, you were okay, I guess, but were you just like, is there like a devastating feel, like you're like, dude, we're at this show, this guy, someone's not paying attention,
like
whatever.
heartbroken,
Yeah.
Yes, yes, because basically the guy bent down to get his CD. I mean, he admitted it. I mean,
Oh,
he
my
bent
God.
down and the car rolled forward. And I mean, the car was so pointed, I mean, like a W. I mean, that's how it was shaped. So that was immediately, in the bed of the truck. I mean, in the tailgate of the truck completely. And I mean, I'm in a line of cars. Joey's like 5 cars ahead of me in the Krew Kut. And all these people around you, the cops have to come and it was just, I couldn't believe it. I mean, when I called him, he could not believe it. I mean, he's like, what? I'm like, this guy ran into the back of me. So, I mean, it's just, but
Yeah.
it happened for a reason. I mean,
Exactly.
we redid it.
Now, Joey, it seems like I'm trying to remember if it ran in street trucks like April 2000-ish or 2002. That was, I can't remember if that was prior to, that was maybe Courtney shot it or was prior to the accident, but it seems like it ran a couple times when it was black.
Yeah, I think geez, I mean, it was 2 or 3 different features.
Yeah, so you had those.
Courtney shot it yeah.
Yeah, which is awesome. And then, like, to Heather's point, like, you guys had this awesome run of it when it was blue. And, like, what was your favorite mod on it, Joey, after you guys switched it all up?
I mean, I'd have to say the bed work was pretty amazing. Just the detail, the metal work.
Yeah, super
we
clean.
did a ton of chrome work. Yeah. Powder coated everything. It was a fun truck. Yeah, I think Courtney shot it when it was blue. Alexander shot it when it was blue. And then Finnegan shot it one year at Showfest when it was blue. So yeah, it went through the ringer.
Yeah, I'm looking at the feature here from April 2006 in street trucks, and to your point, Courtney had shot it, and a lot of folks kind of maybe forget that era. I had nitrogen on my Suburban, and I loved it. Many of us were running the bottle brackets from Extensive, and that's one thing that's prominent in the bed of the Tacoma when it's redone to the blue is you've got the dual bottle brackets. And, man, that was a good era, wasn't it? I mean, because nitrogen was awesome. You had no moisture. And those tanks, unless you played with your stuff a lot, right, Joey, they would last a while.
Yeah. I mean, and what was crazy, I think my tanks were painted. So I had one shop that would actually refill the bottle on site. But I wasn't that lucky on some other vehicles. I always have to change them. And they're heavy.
Yeah.
They're heavy, but, it kind of beats killing batteries and compressors. But, yeah, I think now, definitely the technology has changed so much that I don't know if I'd be a fan of nitrogen now just because.
Yep. Having to go get them swapped and all that. And yeah, my old buddy of mine, he had they made a sleeve for theirs out of tweed. And what he would do is he would swap it, and it basically hid because all those tanks look like, most of them look like crap, But to your point, with them being painted and stuff, you had to wait or you had to drop them off and all that. So it was nice that you could do that. But
yeah.
I think some people tend to forget that, that was also the era of, you could have super quick bags with the fast bags, but then, depending on how you regulated it, you had not unlimited air, so to speak, like an Oasis compressor, but I mean, you had plenty of air with one of those.
Yeah, that wasn't a problem. So for sure.
Now, from there, so the truck obviously has this really good run. We've kind of established, multiple magazine features. We'll share some of those. Did you just got to the point you kind of mentioned earlier that, hey, it's time to bring in something new? You enjoyed it a couple years, and Heather, I'm just assuming you guys decided, hey, let's sell this so we can go and do something different.
Right. That's what we decided. I said, it's your turn. Let's get something else. Let's change up.
Yeah, I think at one time we had 8 vehicles, and it was it was crazy, the parking at our house. I was like, well, something's got to go. And at one time I had 2 dualies. I had the Krew Kut. I had my GMC dually that was laid out. The Tacoma, a 61 Impala 4-door. So yeah, there was a lot going on in my driveway, almost like a drug dealer's house. So I had to move some things and
It was like a car show.
make room.
You're Italian, right? So, I mean, you got all kinds of rackets going on, you know what I mean?
That's right. But no, I wanted to build a wagon, and to do that, I knew I was probably going to take the body off the frame, and the Tacoma was in the way.
Yeah, and that was a 4-door wagon, like a 60s wagon, if I remember correctly. That was back from like the street source era.
Right?
Yep.
Yeah,
I remember from that era, and that was a clean wagon you ended up with.
Yeah, I had an Impala 4-door first, and then I think the wagon came a little bit later, probably 2000, 2007-ish, 2008. And I just recently sold it. Well, not recently, but we built a new home back in 2013, and I sold it about that time.
Ah, I see.
So,
well, I want to talk about some of the other vehicles, but I mean, I've been so anxious. You and I have been talking for a while about, doing this episode, and I appreciate you and Heather taking the time. Something that's really cool is 20 years ago, on August 12th, 2001, I think, Heather, you and Joey were both in California for some reason at the 15th annual Cal Truck Jamboree. Talk to us a little bit about how this idea came about that you had that like you could maybe win this, because it was February of that year. Street Truck starts talking about this Krew Kut giveaway with Master Image Customs. I mean, did you start seeing that and going, I'm going to win this? Like, how did that go down, Heather?
I actually did. I told Joey. I saw it in the magazine, and I said, you know what? I'm going to enter once a day, maybe every other day. And he just laughed and laughed at me. So I did. I took the little card, made copies of it, filled them out. And I would send like 3 a week or so. Mm-hmm. And he would just, totally make fun of me. When we would go out and eat and go to car shows and stuff, he would sit back at the table and he'd say, tell them what you've been doing. And I'm like, I've been entering to win the truck. And I would tell him, I'd say, you can't win if you don't enter. So he would just laugh and laugh about it. And I just kept sending them in. And one day I was driving home and my phone rang and they called to say, hey, we pulled one of your name out to be in the drawing for the MIC Krew Kut. And I was like, what? You're kidding? And they're like, no, we need you and Joey to come out. And I was like, okay, let me call him. So I called him and he said, you're not,
you're
like, no way, that's not true. And I said, no, it really is. I told him the guy's name that called. He goes, oh my gosh, you're serious? I said, we've got to get to California. I don't know how we're going to get there, but we got to get there.
We had actually gone the year before
mm-hmm.
to the truck jam. And when she told me, I was like, I guess we're going back.
Yeah.
That's pretty awesome. But I think it was Bob Hayes that had called her.
Yeah,
because when she said his name, I knew she wasn't. Yeah, I knew she wasn't full of it. I'm like, yeah, she didn't make that up.
Yeah, she's like that pretty big ruse to get all that lined up. But yeah, I'm assuming he kind of helped Interworks at the time, or Intershow Works, I think it was Interworks or whatever. But the whole the whole process, for those that don't know, Heather basically won Krew Kut 20 years ago, and what I always thought was amazing was when you looked at November of 2001 Street Trucks, you kind of see that basically what they did, right, Heather, is they accepted all of these cards, and then they drew like 5 finalists. So when you got that call, like you were saying, like you just must have been like, no freaking way. Like all my hard work of sending in these freaking cards paid off.
Right. You got like a 1 in 5 chance, that you're going to win. And and that show is just amazing to go to anyway. It's just great to be on the, other coast. And it was amazing. It was just fun. It was so fun. The weather's so nice, and it was great.
Yeah, so we fell in love with the West Coast. I just can't afford to live out there.
I know.
I guarantee we've been out probably 6 or 7 times. We go to the Grand National Roaster Show,
mm-hmm.
and and every time we go, it reminds us of the first trip and the second trip with the Krew Kut. So after she won it, we drove it back from the showground back to Rob's shop.
Mm-hmm.
And dude, it was like on the 405. So you can imagine 12 lanes of traffic in this dually that's 82 inches wide. I had a little anxiety, right?
Right.
So
yeah, so there's that famous photo of Rob Maggi and you, and in Street Trucks, and it says Rob Maggi congratulates Heather of Grenada, Mississippi, who obviously attended the event. What I always thought was intriguing was it looks like from the article they had a couple of stand-ins for the other people. So I'm assuming they wanted you to be there, and then maybe if the people couldn't absolutely be there, they had a stand-in or whatnot. But when you got there, yes, Heather, and you're on stage, like my understanding was like you really did have this feeling like you're like, dude, this is mine. We're taking this home.
Yeah, because they basically just get you up there and give you the envelopes, and then each person, is opening their envelope, and you're just like shaking because you're opening it and you don't know if you're going to win wheels or, something else that they've got going on. But, when you open it and it's the actual letter and it says that you've won, it's just, your heart's just beating. It's amazing. It still is. Just to even think about it. I mean, and then just to think, this is a truck that I've seen for so long in the magazines. I mean, on the cover, I mean, just obsessed with it. Never really seen it in person, I mean, and then to own it and bring it to this side. I mean, it was just, I just knew we were going to have a lot of fun with it.
Oh,
definitely.
yeah. Now,
yeah, so it played a big role in our lives. It, that was right at 9/11, right? So
it came back on 9/11.
On 9/11, it came here. So there was a lot going on in our country.
Mm-hmm.
And the first thing we're like, where are we going to keep this thing? And, we had to, there's taxes and all this stuff kind of came into play. Like, yeah, we've got to get it here. And luckily I found a local person that was willing to drive out there during that mess. I mean, dude, there was borders that were closed from state to state.
Mm-hmm.
It was a lot going on.
And he drove straight back, and it didn't rain. I mean, I
yeah,
couldn't believe that either.
It didn't rain, but
he brought it straight to us.
But yeah, there was a lot of stuff going on, and we had just bought our first home, and we get it there, we get it to our house, and it won't fit in my shop. The door's too narrow, right? So luckily, I had a friend that let me store it at their shop until we could get a bigger door. But
yes,
yeah, it played a big part in our life. We definitely loved the truck, and we still do.
Yeah, I remember you and I had talked many years ago, and you're like, yeah, we got it to the house, and like you wouldn't even really think like, well, crap, it doesn't fit now. Do we got to extend onto the house, build a bigger shop, do this, and it's all of those things and we're talking 20 years ago, so it's it's a little bit different time when it's just like you can't be like, oh, okay, I'm gonna go sell my house, buy another house. It's kind of like those things, taxes, whatever, all that stuff plays in, and you're like, damn, man, what did I get myself into just by winning this? But
right, and you have to pay to transport it back. I mean,
it was a lot going on. So yeah, I mean, we were super grateful, and our thing is we wanted to share it with people here. I mean, I can't tell you how many local shows and even larger shows we went to.
Mm-hmm.
We drove up to a really big bike rally one time, and we were invited inside with the Krew Kut, and literally the OCC guys, Orange County chopper dudes, were like right across from us. I promise you, there were more people around the Krew Kut than there were in line to get Paulie Jr. and Senior's autograph.
Yes.
So yeah, it was pretty crazy.
Yeah. Well, here's something I always think of, like when I try to think of dates. So like you guys obtained this truck, like let's say November 01, it's at your place. So I'm guessing the next year would have been May of 02. We were going to Showfest every single year. Who came up with like the East Side tag? I loved it because for those that don't know, the truck was West Side, right? And that's when we had Sean Mahaney, rest in peace, and he talked about the history and how Rob kind of wanted to keep it on the down low, and then they flip the script and it turns into Krew Kut. So it went from West Side to Krew Kut, but then you guys bring it over to the East Side, and you had the East Side tag on it, and I was like, dude, that was cool.
Yes, that was my idea, and I was like, that's going to be really neat on there. I mean, that's what it needs. I mean, just say West Side and then East Side. I mean, that's perfect.
Oh yeah,
definitely perfect.
Yeah, it's a good tie-in.
And then when we did sell, the Krew Kut, we had the tag for a while, and then Joey actually got it to him. So, because I said it belongs, with the truck. As much as I wanted to keep it,
the original tags from Cali.
The original
I see.
Yes, the MIC Krew Kut.
Yeah,
that's cool that you guys wanted to keep those kind of pieces, together. And Joey, you must have been freaked out driving it. You're like, man, I'm not in the gang, but man, West Side, East Side.
That's right.
That's good times.
Well, I think, dude, I had a '98 Nissan that was my daily driver, and I think the tag on it was phone tap with Dr. Dre.
Yeah,
so
yeah,
I've always
the
had
firm
tags at least.
Got phone tap.
Yeah,
what you gonna do?
Plus, I'm a telecom dude, so that was the nerd coming out in me.
Right.
That's also the first time for having hydraulics and stuff with the truck too, so you can talk about that. I mean,
exactly.
That's really different. I mean, it was really neat, I thought, to have hydraulics.
Hydros compared to, we're airbag people, so it was a different world. We love the truck though, and we're glad that Dave has it, and man, he has taken such good care of it and lets people enjoy it, and that's what it needed. I was a little disappointed. We sold it to a guy down in Texas, and he kind of used it more to promote his business. He wasn't really about what the truck was about. I mean, great guy. He used it to promote his business, and that's fine. And he took it to a few shows. It actually made it out to SEMA, but I think Dave is really doing it justice. I mean, I can't tell you how many times I've seen videos of him letting complete strangers ride in it, and that's what the truck's
Oh,
about.
yeah.
People need to see it and enjoy it.
Yeah, I remember when I had found out you guys had won it, and I always thought to myself, like, how much fun it would be to drive it. Here, like in Tampa, for instance, it's like if you could drive it here, it'd be like people were like, "What the heck is that?" It's so low, it's body dropped, it's got hydraulics.
Right.
What was the feeling like, Joey or Heather, like taking it to, like, let's say you're like, I'm gonna go get a burger tonight. You know what? Let's take the truck, right? And you cruise it. There's two of you in it or whatever. It just had to be like this unreal feeling taking it to a local show.
That's right. Smiles per gallons, right? So, yeah, it was fun, man. Just letting people see it and enjoy it, and the thumbs up, and
constantly.
We would be pulled over by highway patrolmen just because they wanted to see the truck. It wasn't harassment. It was man, I just want to check out your truck. So yeah, it was fun.
Yeah, anytime you went to a gas station, I mean, you were just swarmed. People pull in, want to take pictures, want to see it, look at it. Where did it come from?
Sit in it.
Yeah, sit in it. I mean, if you go out to eat, I mean, it was just, you would just park it in the front so that you could see how many people.
Yeah, I mean, it was pretty crazy, crazy. So yeah, man, I'm huge history in our life.
Yeah. No, it's very cool. Now, so before, like you said, Brent's Wheels, they ended up with it. You guys must have kept it for, I don't know, what was it, maybe a few years or so, you think?
Yeah, it was a couple years, 2 or 3 years, at least, right at 3, maybe 4.
Yeah, I took a lot of photos of it at Showfest, and I'll reshare some of those, because, I mean, it was cool. You kind of had the crowd control, because, like you said, there'd be so many people around it. You had the East Side tag. Did you have, I mean, just kind of an off-the-cuff question, like, owning a truck like that, I mean, with the hydros and stuff, did you ever really have any hiccups with it, or was it just kind of like you cruised it and it was good to go? It's always started?
Yeah, the install was great, man. I never had any issues. I mean, other than maintenance, and I'm so OCD, every time something would happen, I'd run out and get it fixed. But actually, I drug the truck one year at Greenville at Showfest, and that was pretty pricey. That was an expensive fix, but luckily the same guy that painted my Nissan and her Tacoma, fixed it back. I mean, perfect, like color match was perfect. So yeah, there was a little bit of maintenance. Other than that, man, we never had any issues with the truck. It was pretty darn solid. At the time, of course, it's not the same drivetrain in it now, but it had a 454, and it's pretty peppy for what it was. I mean,
and it sounded good.
Yeah, it sounded great.
It sounded really good.
And I had a 98 with a 350 in it, so it was a night and day difference.
Well, it's been cool because we tried to document a lot of the history with this, from Sean Mahaney, rest in peace, to, we had Van Diemen on recently talking about the paint job. And I had forgot to ask him, it always seemed like, and he and I had talked about this, not when we were recording, but it seemed like it always had a bumper sticker on it, but it was paint, and I think it said Van Diemen. And we were going to talk about that, but we didn't. I just had forgotten. And, so we tried to document a lot of different things. We've had Schulman on. Obviously, you mentioned, he's the current owner, and I think the person that will own it for the rest of time. And one of the cool things I thought, Joey, was when, you talk, or Heather mentioned the license plates, but you had made a trip out to Gas Monkey, right, to Dallas, and they even shared that photo of you with the license plate. Talk to us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I go to Dallas for work and for training quite a bit, and I knew a couple people that were at Gas Monkey, and at the time, the truck was being rebuilt. They're like, hey, it's on the down low. No one really knows because this thing's going through production. We want you to come out and check it out. Mm-hmm. Like, yeah, I'll stop by because I'm in Irving like all the time, and went out and I gifted the tag because, man, I had the tag in my shop for years, and it needed to be with the truck. So, I met up with those guys and got to see it right after it was built, before it was even put online to be sold, or before any of the production was actually completely done. The first trip I made, they were still actually matching paint and, trying to get the body back in order, the bodywork back in order. And I can tell you, man, it came out, considering the fact that it was kind of lost for a few years, it came out pretty nice.
Oh, yeah.
Those guys did a really good job. Paint was just as slick. If not, it was even better than in previous. And they left everything the way it was built originally, paint and body-wise,
Yeah, and it looks so good with that front end. I mean, those front ends are so iconic. And we also had Steve from Hydraulics on. He came out during the production, or he went out during the production to assist. And I always thought what was cool, and you'll appreciate this, is the hydraulic setup on it. When they redid it, it kind of had that same feel to it, right in the back with the green, and you can kind of see it and stuff, and the pumps and everything. And I always thought that was a nice little touch they did.
Yeah, it kind of matched the original design. I can tell you this: the truck rides like a million times better now than it did before.
Yeah,
and it's just because technology has changed. There's so many different things now.
Mm-hmm.
The reservoirs are different. Everything is a little more high tech. But yeah, those guys did a pretty good job. I was a little nervous at first. I was like, man, I hope this thing isn't going to just be built for 2 episodes and they're done. But they built it and they did a pretty darn good job.
Yeah, and Dave had talked about the story when we had him on where, he said Richard was pretty cool. Like at first, Richard, he went in a little bit of a grip for the steering wheel, the OG one. And then, when he saw how much Dave loved the truck and Dave had sat in it back at MIC back in the day and whatnot, he was able to come off of it and, they made a quick deal and whatever. And I always thought that was cool because, he's got the license plate, he's got the OG steering wheel. You got pretty much this badass truck that's real iconic. And I just think, like, to your point, I wanted everyone to kind of know that you guys were the curator for a while because I thought it just was so awesome that Heather won that thing.
Yeah, man, we were just the caretakers, and like I said, it played a big part in our life, and I wish I could have kept it too. I mean, I didn't sell it because we didn't love it.
No, we love that truck.
Oh yeah.
Just, you have to imagine how much room something like that takes up.
It's so easy to wash, but you have to think it's easy to wash. I mean, it's half the truck. You don't have to do the top. It's very easy.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah,
I
it's
like
pretty
that.
Quick detail.
Very quick. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's
and
awesome.
You can get sunburn too.
Yep. Now, I just thought of this, like, that, it was on 3 covers. For those that don't remember, Wes Allison had shot it. It was West Side. It was, Krew Kut. And then, obviously, towards the end of Truckin', unfortunately, towards the end of their run as a publication, it was on the cover. And John Jackson, I believe, shot it, which he did a phenomenal job on it. A question for you is does the East Side tag, did that go with it? Or do those still exist in the... in your household?
I let that go when Brent bought it.
That's right. That's what she was saying. I see.
For some reason, she's like, "Did you get the tags?" I'm like, "No, I totally forgot." So I don't know if Brent still has that. But what's weird? Brent's still out there. It'd be kind of cool if he would ship that to Dave, just so they'll all be together, right?
Yeah, that would be cool.
As far as I know, I think Brent's parents live in the same or at one time lived in the same neighborhood as
out there in Dallas area. Oh, where Richard Rollins.
Yeah, in the Dallas area. Where Richard lives, yeah.
And then, the other thing I wanted to mention is Donna Mahaney. They flew her out. They had her involved with the reveal, which I thought was awesome. She's, family to the podcast. They have one of the original battery hold downs that says MIC on it, and that's on their mantle. If you've never seen that photo, I'll share it. And that was a cool thing because I remember before Sean had passed away, unfortunately, he'd message people, and he was always willing to, like, you guys know, he'd talk and whatever. And he messaged one time and he goes, "You know what this is?" And I looked at it and I'm like, I'm not a fabricator, but I kept looking and I was like, it looks like this slim piece of metal, and it said Master Image Customs, and I'm like, well. Back in the day when I got in the truck scene, Steve Nielsen had sent the VHS tapes that he was sending to his customers. And I recently was like ripping some of the video, and it was West Side at Cal Truck Jam. And you can see in the bed that exact battery hold down from the original setup. And
battery
then they
hold
have
down,
one.
right?
And I was like, damn, that's freaking awesome. So, but
that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's good stuff. So, man, we talked a lot about Krew Kut. I was trying to think if there was anything else. I mean, to me, that like covers a lot of the stuff with the truck. Unless there was anything else you guys had, I just had a few more questions about other stuff, and I think, but I think we hit the majority of the stuff with Krew Kut. You guys enjoyed it. You were the caretaker, as you said, for a while. It went to Brent, and then Gas Monkey acquired it on TV, through that episode, and then, now everybody knows Shulman has it down here in Orlando area.
Yep, absolutely.
Now, you guys, like you mentioned, over the years, like you had a white dually, and you've had some other cool stuff. You currently, Joey, I think your current toy is, right, isn't it like a 32 Ford, something like along those lines?
Yeah. So, and I didn't build this either. 32 Ford pickup. It was built for a street rod hot rodder here by the name of George Poteet. George is a big Bonneville guy, has a huge car collection. It was built by a shop up in Humbleston, Pennsylvania, called Posey Street Rods. And, man, I think it was in the Dayton booth, 2007 at SEMA. We saw it out there. And they did like this tour. They basically drove it from Pennsylvania to Vegas. And on the way back, Mr. Poteet took delivery. And, man, I bugged George probably 2 or 3 years trying to get this truck. And we took ownership, I think, in 2009. So I've had it a while. But, yeah, it's a 32, all steel, Brookville body, Ford drivetrain. So, yeah, we're still in the scene. We don't do as much as we wish we could do. We're kind of turned into workaholics, and we've gotten into some other things that we do. But yeah, we do a lot of good guy shows. So I still have it. We've got some cool daily driver tow rigs.
Yeah, the Ram trucks, not Dodge Rams, right?
Yeah, they're Rams now, man. You gotta leave the Dodge off. Yeah, I've got a 2019. It's just nothing crazy. It's just leveled on Carly stuff and 37s. And Heather purchased a Power Wagon back for Christmas. So she's got a big truck. So now we got 2 big trucks that get horrible fuel mileage.
I know, right?
And our garage is even smaller.
Yeah, that's what happens.
That's what we're into, man.
Well, so 2 things I always see. We're talking to Heather and Joey, and one of the cool things I always see on your Instagram, Joey, is that you guys are into like fishing, right? And I feel like I don't always dive enough into like what people are into outside of like the normal car. Our brains are always on cars and trucks and stuff. But I think it's awesome. Right. You guys are, what type of fishing do you do? Is it considered fly fishing, or am I butchering that?
No, you're right on, dude. So probably 2014 we got into fly fishing. We started out just chasing trout like in Arkansas and all these really cold water rivers. And then we got into another, which is really relaxing, and sometimes it can be frustrating because it's super technical. Like there's all these leaders and knots and stuff you have to learn, right? But then we got into saltwater fishing, which kind of allows us to, and it's inshore and it's sight fishing, and it allows us to travel and do some pretty cool stuff, man. We go to Belize and we go to the Bahamas and the Keys sometimes. So now we're chunking like these little chicken feathers at these giant tarpon, which you have tarpon close to Tampa.
Oh yeah.
These giant dinosaurs with big saucer eyes, So yeah, we've gotten into that. So yeah, I do post a lot of fishy pictures, but it allows us to get out in nature. Yeah. We get out in nature and we spend time with our dog, and we have fun. You got to enjoy life, and you only get one. So.
Oh yeah, and Heather, you do seem like you enjoy it too. Like it's a thing that you guys can bond over and do your thing.
Yes, I love it. We do trout fishing. I mean, it's just we take the dog, we get a cabin. We're right there on the Little Red River, Arkansas. We love it, love it, love it. It's just peaceful, relaxing, and I'd move there if I could, but we're stuck here for now.
Oh yeah.
So we do Belize quite a bit, and we have a trip planned. So sometimes the international travel can be a little frustrating. We're not always by the end of the trip. Sometimes we're not even talking, but for the most part, it's fun.
Yeah, that's
for the most part, it's fun, and we enjoy it. So yeah, I'll have to, and there's another guy that's in RA that he's close to you. I'll have to find him on Instagram and connect you guys. But yeah, he tarpon fishes too around St. Pete.
Yeah, I know a lot of the RA guys around
Tampa.
here. Yep.
Yeah. There's one guy I can't think of his name, but yeah, he's a big fly fishing guy too.
Yep. And if you get any problems with them, you just call me, and I'll take. No, I'm just kidding.
That's right. That's right.
Nah, they're all good people, man. We love the RA fam. The last thing I could think of that
absolutely.
I wanted to ask you about was, it's funny when we exchange photos and stuff that, dude, your garage, like when you say OCD, I think like Heather, there needs to be another term for Joey because I think he's like the next level up, right? So like in 50 years, they're gonna be like OCD. That was like OG stuff. Like you're 10 times higher than that, right?
Right.
So like your tool stuff and the stuff you're into, like I mean this with all due respect, like the love that you have for the detail of like putting stuff where it goes and the toolbox stuff. Talk to us a little bit about that.
Yeah.
Or is it giving you anxiety?
So I'm in No. You're fine. You're fine. I'm a telecom dude, so I'm kind of a nerd now, but I love my tools, and yeah, I've always kept a really clean shop.
Oh yeah.
One thing my grandfather taught me. My granddaddy was a master sheet metalist for Pan Am. He built airplanes.
Oh damn.
He always showed me that. Yeah, he always showed me, he's like, if you can turn around and grab a tool and not have to look at it, you're going to be that much more efficient, and you're going to get the job done faster and better.
Yep.
So yeah, everything I have has its own place. I've got the list of toolboxes with the perforated drawers, and it's a little overboard, but yeah, I like cool shit, man. So I enjoy it.
Yeah. Well, my friend Josh, the business, that he learned a lot of stuff from, they deal in all that 5S stuff, right? And I started thinking about that, and I was like, man, it really is like, I remember the early days, and I still do this. I got stuff jacked up in the driveway, and I'm like, trying to change oil, and I'm like, 10 minutes looking for a ratchet, and I'm like, damn, if I could have just had this ratchet right here. And like sometimes it makes you think, like, man, if you can stay organized, but then think about if you do that in your professional life or whatever you're dealing with, like it makes everything more efficient. So I thought that was kind of cool. But yeah, and that's where you store your 32, and you can wrench on that whenever you want then.
Yeah, absolutely. I actually have the intake tore down now, changing some gaskets out. But yeah, I enjoy the tool thing, and
very cool.
I've got stuff that's 20 years old, and even some vintage tools. And I won't say any names, but some people in my family, they leave things in the yard, and that's why they don't have anything. So
damn, don't dry snitch on yourself.
I take care of my stuff, right? And you take care of it, it's gonna last, and
you'll have it forever. That's
right.
Oh yeah.
So that's what I do.
No, I know. I
but
hear
thank you for noticing. Yeah, thank
you
for the kind words, because it definitely doesn't get appreciated. Sometimes the neighborhood kids, they'll come in the bar a screwdriver, and they're like, "Wow, this is awesome." And one little dude was like, "Man, do you have guns in here?" And I'm like, "Nah, just tools."
Yeah, because he's like, man, he would want to see how organized that is. Yeah, if OCD was like a video game, you'd be like like level 10, dude. No, but I mean that with due respect, because I'm pretty OCD, but then I just gotta like take the time to like organize the stuff, and I've been trying to get all that shit down. But it's it's mad respect for what your setup, your organization. It's cool, man. I like seeing it. But dude, we've talked about a lot, man. Like I know you had the blue wagon. You had the blue, I think, Impala, the 4-door. I love that car.
Yep.
You had the white dually, and I'll share some of the photos. Like a lot you've sent me. Some is on your Instagram. Obviously the Tacoma, Heather's, kind of redone, and then Krew Kut. And I mean, there's just so much, dude. And I really appreciate. Mike and I do. I was geeking out the other day. I told Mike, I said, dude, I've been working on this with Joey for like a year, and I got all the questions, and I know what I want to ask. And Mike's like, I can't wait to hear it. I'm like. So, it really means a lot, because we, as want to preserve kind of this history of stuff. And for you guys to have had your hands on...
Absolutely, man.
Yeah, on Krew Kut for a while, like, that's sick. But even if you take Krew Kut out of it, like, you guys have done so much. I mean, you repped your club for so many years. You traveled to so many shows. And to me, man, it's just like a tip of the cap to you guys, both of you.
Well, thank you. It's definitely, it's in our heart, and it'll always be part of us. And so I do miss it. I need to get back out in the show scene. I got to make time and just do it.
That's right. Next month.
Yeah. We may do a show in Texas next month. We've got some plans to go to Dallas.
Cool. Yeah, that'll be good. And you go visit,
man.
Visit Gas Monkey maybe.
At some point, swing by the shop. Heather's never been, so I've been a few times. But yeah, at some point, man, what we need to do is have like an OG Southern reunion. I'll get everybody on the phone, and we'll do a big conference call with you, because there's plenty of guys in Memphis and RA and NC that we just all need to get together and talk and let everybody know we're all still here.
Yeah, there's a lot of history, man, and I guess my closing thought is, I've told people this before, like if you would have thought like, Finnegan would get to the level he has, and like the DeBerties, with trends, and they've got TV shows, and they've got successful businesses, and there's so many more out there.
Right.
But I mean, who would have ever thought, like us as mini truckers, or you two as young adults, like getting in that little accident, and you put in all this work over the years, like many of these quote mini truckers have, and then you see where we've gotten to, like with TV shows and stuff, and you're like, dude, I mean, who would have ever thunk it, man?
Oh yeah, that's pretty amazing. Like, so I think the first time I met Finnegan, we were in a rental car doing about 65. I didn't know the guy. I mean, we knew Phil from up north. We were at Texas Heatwave, and we were in the back of a rental. Yeah. So we're in the back of a rental car at Heatwave, and somebody pulls the e-brake. So dude's been a stunt driver for a long time.
Oh,
and
man.
Take it from me, the car came back on squares. We had so much fun that night. But and fast forward 20 years, people have TV shows, and everybody's got their thing going, and it's been a pretty good life for most of us.
Yeah, you got my buddy Jeff at Devious Customs out there doing, he dabbled in the Amazon stuff, and he's doing YouTube a lot, and even Aaron Kaufman, never really known Aaron, but Aaron's been successful, and and even Richard. I remember when Chicks Ride was brought to Showfest like in 2005, and Richard and the crew, they were there in that big trailer that he had. So you see all that, and to me, it's cool that we can tap in a lot of the guys like a Brian Gendro, who I know we're going to be able to get on hopefully soon. These guys have done so much over the years, and a lot of them don't even want the credit. But I think that they appreciate that people know the history, and people, they see it, because a lot of, think about if Gendro didn't do what he did, we may not have had bags on trucks when we did, it was moving there,
right?
But he was a forefather of that stuff,
Absolutely.
So,
absolutely.
But,
and that's the cool thing about all the shows, even when we were in Assorted, we were going to Texas Heatwave, we were doing all these really, really far shows. We would actually have to print MapQuest maps.
Yes.
just to find our way, So,
That's right.
I'm like, where's page 6? We're freaking lost in the middle of the desert. Here's page 7. And, so we were 16, 17 years old and
Make that drive.
four states away. So, luckily we got to meet a lot of really cool people and see the evolution of vehicles, like Brian's, and I couldn't tell you. Cope was a big, big dude to me. I'm like, man, these guys in Texas had it going on.
Oh yeah.
But yeah. So it's pretty awesome. And all the builds, you can't do it by yourself. You owe it to your friends and the fabricators and the painters. They all just don't come together overnight. It takes a lot of people to build vehicles.
And those relationships you
I
build.
owe a lot of credit.
Yep.
Yeah, I owe a lot of credit to my friends, and if it wasn't for them, we wouldn't have had near cool the stuff we have now.
Yeah, and I appreciate you saying that, because I think a lot of folks, like, we talk about a lot of stuff, and it's easy to go, hey, can you come on a podcast, and you record for about an hour, and then because I've done this, and then I'm like, well, crap, I didn't say this and this and this, and a lot of people, they'll come back and go, man, if I could add one more thing on that episode, like, I just want to thank everyone that's helped me. And I always tell people that too, like some of the guys that groomed me early in the late 90s, and they helped me understand who the players were, and this is the magazine, and these are the guys' names. All of that has stuck with me all these years, and I've been able to springboard off of that, But if it wasn't for you guys coming to Slamfest, and then us coming to Showfest, we would pass by each other. Oh yeah, I remember you guys. What's going on? And that has gotten us to where we are, and it's cool that we have all these relationships out there in the scene.
Oh, absolutely, man. Especially, I like to talk, so I've made so many friends over the years.
I can imagine Heather going, "Okay, we got to get in the car.
I would share the truck. Yeah. I'd share the vehicles with everybody. I would never pass up, a conversation or a way to transfer knowledge.
Yep.
Somebody, because man, I couldn't tell you how many people that would come up and be like, how did you do this? And if I did it myself, man, I'd go down to the nuts and bolts of how it was done, so they could do it.
Yep.
I'd want them to be able to do the same thing. It's like, yeah, man, I painted this in my driveway. You can do it.
Oh yeah. Well, my dad used to say,
it's not always about
Yeah, and my dad used to say, which I'm trying to, as I get older, read more books, but it's like the basic thing, like some people took an entire lifetime to write a book on something that took them 50, 60, 100 years, whatever, and it's like you can just read it and write, and you can learn from that. And when we were coming up, with Street Source and the website and Sport Truck, a lot of that stuff, like we were able to share that knowledge, or have a build thread and stuff. So that I think that really helped us all move ahead too, because to your point, we helped each other as much as we could. And that was the infancy of, now what we have with the internet, Now you go on a Facebook group and it's like, hey, where does this bolt go? Oh, right there. Okay, boom. That's crazy stuff.
Yep. Yeah, you just watch a YouTube. And that's with everything, dude. Like if I need to know something about fly fishing or working on my air conditioner in my house, I'm spoiled. I just I go to YouTube and I fake it. But you think about it, we had Street Source back in the day. We had Street Source back in the day.
Right.
We had a valuable tool, right?
Yes.
And there was so much gossip and drama on there, you didn't want to be on there half the time. But think about this, man. We had Street Source before Facebook.
Yes, we did.
So those dudes were onto something.
Yeah, they were. And every few years they talked about bringing it back. But yeah, we survived Street Source. We survived Facebook. We survived 2020. Man, we could take the whole world on.
I know, right?
But seriously, it's been an absolute pleasure, and Heather, hopefully, Joey and I didn't talk too much because I know you always got some cool shit to say. I just want to say thank you.
No, it's good. Yeah, I'm glad we can take this chance to do this. It's great.
Pretty fun.
It's fun reminiscing.
Absolutely.
Well, she's always telling me, she's like, if you build my power wagon, I want a body drop dually at some point. So
I tell him all the time, I want one on the ground and one like I have, and he's like, you can't have both. And I'm like, yes, I can.
You're like, damn it, you're doing it, Joey.
Why can't I have one on the ground?
Yep.
That's right.
You're doing
I want
it,
to drive both.
Yeah, I want to drive both, exactly. No, that's good stuff.
Yeah.
Well, Heather, Joey, Realmuto, thank you so much. And, man, really appreciate you guys.
Yeah, man. Thank you for having us, and stay in touch.
We will, Joey. Appreciate you guys. We out you, y'all.
Words in the whole fucking music business. You ain't heard Snoop Dogg, that nigga Daz, Tupac. From where? Death Row's Funds, West Side. 3 words to make a motherfucker heart burst. I rip the verse first, nigga, when I start the curse. Picked up black hurts, adversaries covered in they Sunday best. He blinked out in the dark, my gun sprayed his chest. When will I die, nigga? We all die, so until I die, or must I ride on my enemies until they fry? Father, forgive them, cause they not knowing. My Glock cock, niggas drop when my shots flowing. My definition of a thug, nigga, a multi-millionaire, started as a drug dealer. I love niggas open fire when I blast at you. Everybody dies, bad boy massacre. I laugh at you, holler my name, I reappear like a genie. Knowing no man alive can see me. Motherfuckers making problems, but they get what they deserve. Get destroyed with these 3 words. Motherfuckers, motherfuckers. Look at my thumb, man. Let's get my hand in nothing. No, I'm coming down. Money out the States, it's all the
Can I ride through? Them niggas try to. Pop, tick tock, I got the Glock. We shot the game with the realism. Thug like dog pound, about to get with him. Cause we hit him with the West Coast gangsta shit. Cause that's all we know, and that's all we speak. It's like step, swoop, aim, shoot, Snoop, dog, Snoop.
The world feel the fury of the chosen man. Thug nigga 10mm closing hand. Put him in my range, aim nigga take 5. Watch him die, should've never fucked around with a time to ride. Ride low down a one-way, watch my gunplay. I hope we find true peace one day. Nobody cried when my dog died, set him straight. AK automatically retaliate. Look at my thumb, man. Let's get my hand in nothing. So I'm coming down. Let's get the money out the States. It's all the war zone. Swing ride.
To be a high roller, you need a pistol and about a half a key of some Coca-Cola. Now that I got older, I got a little cola, and don't trip to get a chip off my nigga's shoulder. Man, drums of a gangster, being like Cagney or Bowie, but Snoop Dogg ain't no follower. Man, I'm a general, so when I put it down, I got to be so original. Click the bus, just like Bass Dillinger, but that's the little homie, and I'm the big homie, Snoop Dogg, totally on it. Spit 3 words up and lighten it. As long as I'm bouncing with this, I know you're liking this. For sure though, you can't take my photo. I'm throwing the BBG laying low key in the gray photo. Get pushed around town in the back of the car. Double off from the dirt to the stars.
Look at my thumb, man. Let's get my hand in nothing. No, I'm coming down. Let's get the money out the States. It's all the war zone. Snoop is a deep home. No, it ain't my fault. Let's get my hand in nothing. No, Wishing for all my niggas at the wall up in memory. Stay the right mind and come right before me. So all your off brand scat, run for heat, plus the power. Try to get rid of half these motherfucking bastards. They get hands to the block. From the get with all that bullshit drama they talk. Never putting shit back in the hood. So these motherfuckers think it's all good. If I die, go to jail, I can't quit. From illegal to legitimate. Incarcerated with the bloods and crips. They lock me down in the gang unit, the spot G's. They down to ride it down the shake for me, you die. So we coming up. Sweet ride. That nigga dancing like a belly. She saw the warrior lifestyle. It's the story to be worshipped glory. Coming through with my entourage. Getting loose, prepared for the war. Motherfucker.